Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. This week we sat down with Patrick Buckles, a Green Beret from 10th Special Forces Group. Current project is Unconventional Warriors Special Operations Financial Training for the Financially Oppressed. If that's you, you can look him up. There are links to his socials in the show description. I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and remember to like, subscribe, and share if you so choose. I do appreciate all of you, and thank you for listening, and enjoy the show. Patrick Buckles, great name. Welcome to Lesser Known Operators.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. I appreciate you coming on. Tell me a little bit about I love the name of your business here that you've got going on, for especially your tagline on Facebook. You're studying for your MBA, which is a massive bank account.
Yeah, man.
That's a much better acronym than the business administration. But tell me about Unconventional Warriors Special Operations Financial Training for the Financially Oppressed. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so you're gonna love it when I get all the way to the end of it, which probably not gonna be right now in this few sentences, but I talk to a lot of people, and I mean, networking is key. I didn't realize how important networking was until I started getting towards retirement. And it's funny enough because I've been doing that pretty much my whole military career as it was anyways. But I got into that, and that's a little personal take on what I'm doing in finance, which is, in the military, we signed up to defend this country, raised our right hand against, foreign and domestic entities, enemies, whatever you want to call them, right? Terrorist activities. So did that for 20 years and now I'm done. So what is my purpose after that? And I think, Nick, that's where a lot of guys, they lack purpose when they get out. And I was able to take some civilian things that I'm doing and create my own purpose, which is my mission statement, as it were, on my Facebook, which is I'm here to help the financially oppressed. And when I look at the finance industry, it's pretty ugly what's going on out there. You got the entire industry, the companies, the finance companies, the insurance companies, and the banks. I look at them as financial terrorists. That's how I look at it. Why am I looking at them like that? Well, why are they ripping families off on purpose? Why are they ripping off Americans on purpose?
Because these are for-profit companies, and they have stock shareholders and a board to make happy.
Exactly. But I don't agree with it. I don't like it. So I'm here to take a stand.
I think more so than, because civilians live in the civilian world, right? And when you go off into the military, it's this imaginary world where it's really hard to get fired. It's really easy to get fired, but it's really hard at the same time to get fired. And you pretty much know that you're going to get a paycheck on the 1st and the 15th. And then you get into this pattern of, I guess, not saving money like you're going to die tomorrow. You're just living like, I don't have to worry about that. I've got this cushy job. And then one day the Army's going to be done with you. Do you run into a lot of your clients that have had that mentality in their career in the military?
Man, absolutely. There's so many. A matter of fact, I think one of the worst cases I've had so far was a guy last spring, the GB out of 7th, and he did something 23, 24 years, never had a retirement account. Never.
Is that bad?
I said,
it sounds bad.
Yeah, it's bad. And I said, brother, what happened? And he's like, well, nobody ever educated me. They never pushed it on me. They never stressed the importance of it. So I never did it. And I said, well, you probably have to work forever in that then.
Yeah. Well, Walmart's always hiring. Well, that is one thing.
True.
We usher children into the military, right, at an age, and a lot of the life skills, especially about money, that you're going to learn as an adult, it doesn't happen when you first get into the military. And if you go to the regular Army or a unit, you're focused on this new life that really has nothing to do with your past life. And you might have a few bad leaders in a row that don't teach you anything, right? And now
100%.
it's now it's on you as a 45-year-old adult to figure it out. Is your target audience mainly veterans?
No, my target audience, I mean, it's everybody.
Everybody.
It really, it's crazy is the military, the service members today, not a lot of them, they don't even want to listen. If it's not coming from ACS or some entity inside the military, I mean, it's hard to get in there. That's where you got all these free resources and you got this and you got that. And they don't know what they're doing. They got no clue what they're doing.
I've found, especially when I was going through my medical retirement board, there's so many programs that it creates the opposite effect for determining which one you want to go with. Because there were so many options and things for me to do when I got out. I had this hesitation because I couldn't pick anything. Plus, I was mad about getting out. And there's all these programs, and you don't know which one's the real one because it's not like you can go on Google and get the reviews for how to deal with your life, right?
Right.
So that's great, man. Have you found that this is kind of fulfilling as your new purpose after you retired? Because you said you retired from group, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I retired last January, 2024.
How did you deal with 2024? So you're fresh out. Are you having a good time trying to create your own stress to keep yourself interested?
So easy. It is. Because again, I found purpose before I even got out. I started doing this 2.5 years out from retirement because all I knew was I didn't want to get out and get a job and just do what everybody else is doing. I didn't know anybody that was happy and successful financially once they got out, becoming a GS or a contractor or doing whatever they were doing. So the fact that I didn't see anybody get the kind of success that I wanted afterwards, I said, well, I got to do something different.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to get stuck in it happens to me, kind of get to it. You grab a job, you don't like it, and then you grab another job, you don't like that. And then, after that addictive life of being a Green Beret, a lot of bad things can happen to you, especially, things happen to me. I mean, alcohol took the place of those memories from back when I was in the Army and happy. So I know what you mean there. So you found your new purpose. So we go back, and you said before we started recording, you were prior military before you went to selection. So you weren't an 18 X-ray. So what was the decision? You grow up, what was the draw, right? Because you would have, right at 3 years after 9/11, right? Did that factor into your decision to join the military?
No, not even close.
No?
No.
No? What was the draw for you to get in?
I just saw I wasn't going anywhere. I hung around the wrong crowd growing up. Yeah, that's what happened there.
So I've spoken to that other times, right? Is sometimes you'll be getting away from a bad situation when you're a civilian and then join the military. As I said to my one other buddy, it's the male equivalent of "fuck it, I'll go be a stripper," right?
Basically, yeah. But a professional one.
But you gotta wear a uniform, and people say thank you for your service.
Exactly.
So what was the recruiter's pitch to get you to go field artillery?
Dude, it was a lie. 100% lie.
No.
I know.
No, I don't believe it.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I went there. I went to Mets, and I'll never forget. I'm sitting with the career recruiter. I believe that's what they're called. So I was sitting with their career recruiter, and he's like, "Well, when do you want to ship out?" And I'm like, "I'm ready right now." I'm like, let's go. I mean, I had nothing going for me. I was living in North Miami, roofing. I'm like, this is going nowhere. Like, I don't know where it can get much hotter. So, I went there and I said, well, I'm ready to leave now. He said, well, it doesn't work like that. He said, how it works is, the jobs ship out when they pop up, when they're ready. I said, okay, I don't know what that means. So when can I leave? He's like, well, let me look and see what's up. So he's looking in the system over there. I don't see what's going on. He's looking and he's like, oh, well, the next thing that's leaving is 13 Romeo. I said, what's that? He's like, I don't know. Let me look it up. So he looks it up and feeds me this complete lie. Because actually, just to backtrack before that, he's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I don't want to be inside and I don't want to be in front of a computer. That's all I know. I was an outside guy.
Whoa, whoa.
And so he must have read 13 Romeo was like inside of a shelter in front of a computer. And he's like, well, he's not going to like that. So let me lie to him. Well, hey, man, according to this, it says you're going to be doing recon and you're going to be setting up those floating bridges for tanks to drive over and you're going to be blowing stuff up. I said, I'm in. Sign me up. That's what I want. So I signed a dotted line and then I shipped out. I get the basic training at Fort Sill and there's 13 Romeos out of the entire class. Drill sergeants don't even know what it is.
What is
They don't even know what it is.
I was 13 Papa, and I don't recall a 13 Romeo. Was it gone? Because I came in 11, and I don't remember the 13 Romeo.
Oh no, it's there. You ever been downrange and seen they're on every single fob. They're the big radars. You ever seen them?
Okay, yeah.
They're connected to a generator. There's a big one, and then there's kind of a smaller one that's more mobile. But yeah, they track IDF. Well, once IDF comes through their radar fan, what it does is it calculates where it's going to land. They take that information, they give it to the 13 foxes. The foxes retrace where the origin of the IDF, and then they send that to whoever to go get them.
So, yeah, that's not exactly the most exciting. Full computer screen. I remember. This is the same thing I got, right? I was a MLRS fire direction systems specialist, and the video was really cool, right? They show you a cool video, you're launching rockets. But then when I got to my battalion, the sergeant major's like, oh, you're going to S2. And I sat at a desk and he's like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to selection. And that's where I went. And I got the fuck out of there. But so they sent you off to Germany. How was that?
I did not want to go, but I'm glad that I went. It was amazing. That's where I met my wife towards the end of my 2 years there, but it was amazing. It was, that was college for me.
Yeah.
That was college for me. I did nothing my recruiter told me to do. Yeah, exactly. And they weren't trying to confine you. Life. Oh, yeah. That's what I did. I just partied all the time and partied. It was absolutely ridiculous. I'll never forget, there was a week there where I had 5 hours of sleep a week.
That's pretty standard, though, when you're a new guy at a new unit and you're just let loose. Because you were at Fort Sill. Did you ever go to Scooters at Fort Sill out there on the edge of town where it was penny beer night on Thursdays? Any coin got you a beer on Thursdays from 8 to 11?
No. I only did my basic and AIT there.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you missed out. Because I got stationed there after basic and AIT, and guys would go party at Scooters all night and then go from there to PT after drinking for penny beers all night, and then just go and just throw up violently. It was something else. But that's how it is when you get in the military. You're just let loose. It's a bunch of young guys, and as long as you're not getting a DUI and you make it to PT, well, whatever. You'll be fine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're out in Germany. What was the decision that led you to say, "No, I'd like to be a Green Beret"? Why was the transition there?
It was just too easy for me. Everything was just too easy. The PT, I was that guy. I was the guy always with the highest PT score, right place, right time, right uniform. It was just too easy, and that's what it was. And I really didn't like the rigidness. I'm just like, even though I'm a kid. Basically, this 20-year-old kid, I wasn't very good with people telling me what to do like that. It's very micromanaged, big army. And the fact that I would sit in the back of these shelters of a Humvee and in front of this freaking, computer and plotting board, that just wasn't for me. And I had always wanted to become a Green Beret. I didn't even know the X-ray program existed. Otherwise, I probably would have done that. But I'm glad I didn't, because I learned a lot of the core, values and traditions of the big Army, which is there. I mean, they're still within.
I think, I don't know, X-ray program has a lot of positives, and I think one negative is that the guys don't get that 2 or 3 years in the regular Army of that's what it's like, and they don't get that. I don't know, because we do have to work with the regular Army a lot in group, and you kind of don't understand things from their perspective because you were never on that side of things, and you saw what they have to deal with and the way the chain of command works. So I get what you mean there. Yeah, it definitely wasn't the place for me either, and everybody knew it there because I told them, I said, this isn't what I expected. My sergeant's like, just do whatever you want, man. Nobody likes it here. So if you want to get out, just get out. Is that kind of the mood that you saw from the rest of your guys?
There's actually a few guys that wanted to go to, didn't, of course, backed out the last second to selection. I don't know. I think a lot of people liked it there, to be honest. It was an MLRS battalion. It was small. It was pretty decent. It was fun. Just a lot of partying. I think guys they just wanted to party more than actually be serious and do something cool.
Yeah.
Do something worth doing.
Right.
Yeah.
While you're young. So did you go TDY from Germany to Fort Bragg, or did you after you got back?
Yeah.
How was that process?
Man.
Were you a private or a specialist at this time?
I was a specialist. I got specialists. Yeah.
And then you go to because in a regular Army unit, there's just one travel, what do they call them? They coordinate the travel for the unit, and they don't believe you. You're like, I'm going to selection. What is that? How is it going and figuring that out as a specialist, and then flying from Germany to Bragg, and then the shock of that?
Yeah, it was actually pretty simple. I don't remember a lot of that. I had people, my platoon sergeant was very helpful. He was actually a really awesome guy, and he helped me through everything. He drove me to get all my DTS stuff squared away, knew the lady. So it was pretty simple for me. But again, that's only because I was doing what I was supposed to do.
Oh, yeah. And that's the name of the game, right? Yeah. Most people that become Green Berets weren't shitbags before they decided to go to selection, and then just magically became excellent soldiers.
Yeah. Well, we don't know that. But anyways.
Maybe they came
but for the most part. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was pretty simple. Everything was paper back then. It was crazy. I remember all the paper. I had to fill out paper crap out.
I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was in the Army maybe 2-3 months, but when I got to select, I was 3 months when I went to selection the first time. In the regular Army, 3 months, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was just winging it. So winging it. Said I'll figure it out after I get done here. What stands out to you the most about selection? Because you said you would have gone in what, 2007?
No, selection. I went in 2005.
2005. What was that like?
It was the worst 3 weeks ever for the most part.
3 weeks?
Yeah, it was 3 weeks. They did the STAR course. We did the first week, which was individual events. Second week was a STAR course, and then the third week was team week.
How'd you like the STAR course?
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And it was different.
What was bad about it?
It was July. That's what was bad. I had never been that hot in my life. And that's when they had the sardine cans out there for whoever's listening. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, the sardine tin little huts that they had for us with bunk beds in there. It was absolutely awful. We weren't allowed to use washers or dryers for our clothes. Everything was hand washed. And the BDUs are, they're definitely thicker than what we got now. Black boots. They made you do black boots and shine them.
Really? So it's different from our experience. We were just ACUs, and we were in the half dome tents, and I think it was 3 weeks. Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks. It had gone to 2 weeks after you went, and then it went back up to 3 weeks So I don't know what it is now. It all sucked. trying not to fall
It
asleep,
sucks, period.
whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you
It
get done
also,
with it, there's the next phase sucks even worse. And you look
yeah.
back, you go, maybe that wasn't that hard. So I don't know. Anything that particularly stood out to you where you thought I'm not going to make it at this point or anything, or
No,
you just nailed it?
no, I didn't. It sucked. I would have to say one of my memories, and even my kids know this memory is, man, I was going through, we were practicing to lead up to the start course. So you're constantly finding your points for a couple of days. And I remember coming up to, it was over there by the Beaver Dam. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
if you know, okay, yeah, Beaver Dam. So I was up by there, and last point, it's right through this draw. And this draw was like, you're not getting through this draw. It's a wall. I'm walking the draw. All of a sudden there's a little opening. It was an animal opening. Perfect. Looked like something out of Lord of the Rings for hobbits. So I get down to this thing and I go through it because I was going to have to walk really far and probably miss my point. And I was done at this point. And I walk through the draw. It's literally right there over this hill. And I come out and it's in the swamp. Just swamp over there. I don't know how deep it is. But all I know is it's July and there's something called water moccasins. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I went back through the hole. I started walking. It kept going and going and going. I said, screw it. I went back, went through that hole, and I started stepping. I got my dummy rifle, and so I'm using that just like you're not supposed to, because if I lose it, it's gone. And I'm poking, I'm walking. I'm like, okay, ankle height, shin height. Okay, it's right there, right below my knees. And then I go to take one more step, boom, all the way down to my neck. I thought I was going to drown. The ruck's on my back, the weapon's there, and somehow I was able to swim, scared as crap that something's going to come up and get me. And luckily there was a tree, probably it was only about 10, 15 meters in front of me. But I was able to swim over to that tree, barely tread water with all this weight on me. And I was able to get on the roots of this tree and kind of climb around them, walk around them, and then get out. And literally my point was right there. I'm not even joking. As soon as I got out of the water, up the hill, over the hill, there it was. So that was probably the most memorable one, incident that was there. But yeah, the whole thing just freaking sucked, man. The whole thing just sucked.
That is demoralizing when you're doing the land nav and stuff and you get to your point and you just basically killed yourself to get there. And then you leave your point and you just realize there's this golden path that you don't get wet at all when you're leaving it.
Right.
But where the fuck was this when I was trying to find this point? I had to go through a whole lake and things were trying to eat me and there's monsters out here in the dark. And then all of a sudden there's a lighted pathway to get out of there.
Exactly.
I always thought that was disheartening. So we passed selection as a specialist, junior enlisted, right? You go back to your unit. What was that feeling like? Because I know what it was like. What was it like for you to go back to your guys and have that letter saying, I'm leaving?
It was amazing, man. And I don't think anybody had a doubt in their mind. There was one warrant officer. This guy's a piece of shit. I actually saw that dude not too long ago, too. Yeah, it's totally a piece of shit, man. And in artillery, your warrants are like, you got one per section. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember ours. Yeah.
One per section. They were either cool or they were dicks. But the one I had was a dick, and he had already made fun of me prepping up for selection. I wore my ruck everywhere. I didn't care. I wore it. I wanted to get used to it. And he literally told me to my face, he's like, "Why are you wearing that ruck for us? I'm getting ready for a selection." He's like, "You're not gonna make it." And I'm just like, dude, you must not know me, man. Like, I don't quit. So yeah, definitely came back, and it's just like, read it, freaking made it, But I just had there was they really left me alone. They just left me alone. My section leader, when I came back, I happened to see him. He was a reclass when I went to AIT, and I was shooting a shit with him. And I told him back in AIT, I said, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna go do a little bit of time, and then I plan on going SF." And he was one of those guys. Oh, I did that, but I didn't make it because I got hurt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was cool that he went. He ends up being my squad leader. I come back and get selected, and he's like, "Oh, what's up, man? Congratulations. Remember me?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, what's going on?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, kick rocks." He's like, I just want to see you at morning formation for PT, and that's it." So, dude, for 6 months, all I did was show up. I did PT in the morning with the guys. I went back home, slept, got up at noon, played Xbox until formation was over, and then I went to the gym.
That's, I mean, not a typical. I'm sure that's not a typical story because you've been to the field
No.
where they drag people out with on crutches and a broken leg because they
Yes.
have to make their numbers, and
Yeah.
then your platoon sergeant's like, well, if you don't have anything to do, don't do it here.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice to get ready to go.
Yeah.
Whereas my unit deployed, and so I was on rear D, so it was like first sergeant, and then I'm his right hand man. We had like a few other people, but everybody else was getting chaptered or kicked out of the army. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had to work all the way up until I had to leave. But he kind of let me do whatever I want as long as I did what he needed me to do. So I got the same thing. But I remember, man, getting ready to go to the course, PT, and then I would go to the CrossFit gym. I like wanted to leave, no doubt. I never wanted to come back to the regular army ever again when I got to the course. I said, this is a no fail thing. Once I got selected, let's get there, let's get this over with and get to group. I just wanted to leave, no doubt. Is that kind of the mindset you had when you left Germany?
Yeah, dude. I wanted to be ready for that. I remember when I left my unit, I had the highest PT score in the battalion.
Yeah.
Had the highest PT score. I did 100. I left doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and a freaking 11:30 run. That's how I started the Q course.
Let's spoken. Yeah. And but it's crazy, when you go to selection, you think everybody's going to be that top level of athlete. And then 20% of the class gets dropped on the first day for failing the PT test. That just blew my mind because I went twice. And both times, almost exactly 20% of the class got dropped on the first day for failing the PT test. That just blew my mind.
Crazy.
At least they tried, Oh, they can say I went to selection. At least they can say that. But little does everybody know that because you go home on the last day, whether you fail the first day or you fail the last day. So everybody thinks that they've got a cool story when in fact they couldn't do 41 sit-ups or some shit like that.
Something stupid.
All right. So we get to the Q course. It's got to be like, what is it now? 2005-ish,
2006.
2006 now.
For sure.
Are you knowing how the course works now? And I was very happy once I learned what an 18 X-ray was and the pipeline that they got shit on to get to just the same point that I got to in a few months by going regular Army, then going to selection, then going to the course. Are you glad you didn't know what an 18 X-ray was and that pipeline? Because the guys that went through it your time, those years, were brutalized in SOPSI before getting to the Q course.
Yeah, dude.
Are you glad you were regular Army for that? Because I was very happy once I learned that how those guys got beat on for months. It's like,
oh yeah, dude, it is insane. I'm like, damn, if selection's this hard, I can only imagine. Those guys made selection look like a freaking cakewalk when I went. I didn't, because again, I didn't even know what it was. I'll never forget the first ruck march that we did. They were like, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna crush everybody here. And because I was rucking through the mountains of Afghanistan, it's not mountains, but it's very hilly in Germany. And as soon as they said go, these guys ran, like full blown running with rucks. Not just like, holy shit, what is this? And I was extremely impressed. But yeah, I heard some of their stories, and they were just like, yeah, since day one of basic training, they've been training to crush selection.
Yeah, the cadre at that time left no doubt, whether they were gatekeeping or they were just assholes. They left no doubt once those guys went to selection that they were going to pass. They didn't even let them get that far without having pretty much 100, unless injury. Yeah, people get hurt and things like that. But another guy I had on the show, he said, I think everybody that went to selection passed once they got through.
Yeah, because when I went, what they were doing is they were doing basic and they were doing AIT, and then they were doing, which was combined, and then they were doing, because it's infantry style, and then after that they did a bunch of land nav, and they were calling it, like, they did a pre-selection. They already did like a mini selection. to get them ready for the real selection. So when they went, they were just like, oh, I already did this. It's just like a week long.
Do you think that way that they come in is so difficult because they're paying the price for not having to suffer through the regular army sucking as much as it does?
I mean, they're tough. There's a lot of good X-rays out there. I'll just say that the only good thing about doing what we did versus coming in as an X-ray is you really don't appreciate what you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't appreciate what you have and you take it for granted.
Oh, I know what you mean. You haven't lived until you've gotten called into work on a Sunday for a DUI you didn't commit, for someone that was in charge of you and have to stand in the sun and do push-ups because it's somehow your fault. You haven't lived until you've done that. Uh, I think that was the moment I was like, I gotta get out. I gotta get out of here. When I was getting yelled at by Sergeant Major because my NCO crashed his car into a cop car while he was drunk, living off post. I think that was the moment. I gotta get out of here. This place is
Bro,
for.
when I came back from selection on that trek, I don't know how long it was, but it's still not confirmed or documented. I never got an answer, but I'm pretty sure I broke my right foot just from overuse and weight, right? Like a Liz Frank type fracture in the dead center of my foot, right? I get back. This is the first time I ever had soft shoe profile. I said, man, I got it. Like the black boots were no freaking joke, if you know, for people that used to wear them. And we couldn't wear the comfortable jungle boots because Battalion Sergeant Major didn't like those. So we had to wear the solid crap. And anyways, so I got a soft shoe profile because I said, I can't take this crap. So I wore black shoes and my Battalion Sergeant Major sees me and he's like, and he knew I was the only guy that went to selection out of the entire battalion. So he knows who I am. And he sees me and he looks down at my shoes, looks up at me. He's like, soft shoe profile. He's like, and you think you're going to make the Q course? He's like, you ain't going to make it. And like looking back, I'm just like, bro, you're the Battalion Sergeant Major. Aren't you supposed to be like talking me up? Shouldn't you be happy for me? Like
Your
I'm a
job is to be a
specialist.
senior. That's a senior NCO, and your job
I'm a
is
freaking E4.
and to talk down to an E4 and make him feel like
Dude.
shit when you know he passed selection. But I will tell you, I did work at battalion headquarters when I was in the regular army, and you get to you see everybody's ERB, and in selection we got a minimum GT score of 130 or 110, right? And then you have to have a certain numbers. You have to have certain numbers. That's not the case in the regular army. That Sergeant Major, this is unconfirmed from Private Nick Ward here, but there may be Sergeant Majors out there with GT scores of 60 or less. I'm not saying that's the case, but it may be the case. So you're not dealing with people that comprehend the whole, because when you get to group, everybody's fucking genius, right? Everybody's really smart, whether they show it or they don't. Everybody's really smart. But in regular army, you don't know who you're dealing with. And that person, as long as they showed up at the right place, the right time, the right uniform, and they, had all their accountable items in their pockets, they're going to make Sergeant Major someday. So, whatever. Fuck them.
Exactly.
What?
Seriously.
So you initially went through the course as an 18 Bravo weapons guy, right? What? How was that? Did you get a chance to pick? Or we requested our language in MOS. Were you able to put in that request, and did you get what you wanted?
I put in a request for a language in MOS. Yeah, I wanted to be a weapons guy. I wanted to be a Bravo, so I got that. But I was on the lower end of the GT score, so it's probably where I got that one. So, whatever, they gave it to me. But then they gave me German, which I was one of the last classes to learn German in 2007. They gave me that, obviously, because I was still stationed in Germany, I think. That's the only reason why they gave it to me.
Maybe.
I got it. Maybe.
So,
It worked out for me.
So the phases were pretty much, they're a little different than when I went through, but any of the phases stand out to you where some moments you don't think you're going to make it through, or was it all just, no, I'm going to make it no matter what?
Nope. There was actually one time where it was during SUT, like I was about to quit. And it wasn't because it was hard. I was just at the pinnacle of also all my Camp McCall training was in the summer.
Yeah.
All of it somehow. So I'm doing SUT for 5 weeks or 7 weeks. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was a 7 week one. They extended it out. And it was hotter than hell. It was the end of June. I went out the end of June, all of July, and the first week or two of August. Like, it don't get hotter than that. And that's where we're out there. And that was before they had Tent City. So anyway, I mean, it just sucked. But I remember one day, and I'll never forget this. We were just, I mean, it was exhausted. We're doing the damn, here comes another ambush. And we get our little patrol base. And I'm laying there. And the gnats are just driving me crazy. And we're laying there for a good hour. They're trying to get my ears or trying to get my freaking eyeballs and flying up my nose. And I was just exhausted, starving. And these things are just eating at me. They're going up my so bad. I literally several times in my head, I said, I'm about to stand up and voluntary withdrawal. I was about to feed up because these bugs were just getting to me so bad. But it was just everything at the same time. Because when you look back, it's like, it's just some stupid gnats. But it was just, the heat exhaustion and the food and the sleep deprivation. And then you throw some little gnats on there, that'll drive you crazy, because you're not sleeping good out there in the summer. As soon as the sun goes down.
You guys didn't sleep well during small unit tactics?
I know, right?
I find that hard to believe. I once got 11 minutes while we were out on patrol. It was
well, it's not even about the time. It's just as soon as that sun goes down, what do you hear? Mosquitoes. I mean, in your ear all night. So it's just, it's impossible, right? So what do? You just go through it. But that's the only time I can remember where I was like, man, like I'm about to get up and freaking get out of here. That was the only time. That was a mental toughness push through to just stay laying there and just take it. And then we're going to move here shortly.
That's most of the course, right? Because I scroll through Facebook or Instagram, and our generation of guys are getting out now and have these training programs for guys that want to be special operations that they can follow to get them at least physically fit to go through the course. Where that really wasn't, social media wasn't as big, and there was nobody doing that when I wanted to go through. So yeah, good on them that they found their little niche. But you can be as strong as you want. You can be a stud all day long, but if you aren't switched on or mentally ready to go through the course and then go on to the group after that, you're not going to make it. There is no amount of sucking it up, because it's just like that. Those gnats can push you over the edge and make you quit and make you make a rash decision, because student stress or the stress of the Army or group or everything can boil over. What do you think of that?
And it just takes a different kind of person for this stuff to actually be. You just got to be well rounded, all around. People, you get the guy that's just always in the gym. We always know the guy. You got the one guy that's always in the gym, but he's kind of an idiot. Then you get the other guy who's super smart, but he's like this scrawny little dude. And then you just get people. I mean, it's just, and everybody's awesome. Everybody makes the group for a reason. I mean, we know those few people that do skate through somehow, but they typically get weeded out pretty quickly on the team. I always tell people that, being on a team is, it's a team of lions, but there's still an alpha lion above the lions, or a few. So I say, try being in that kind of environment, because that's what it's like. We are purposely trying to find things about each other to weed that stuff out of us to make us stronger. But some people can't handle that. Some people can't. And for the people that can't handle that, they're the ones that don't do very well in teams, right? They don't. But it's done by design. And I like that. And that needs to happen. That definitely needs to happen. It's not hazing, But it's, man, if you let your guard down, we see what it is. We're going to poke at that until you freaking grow up and get over it.
No, there's a fine line between, because you're always being assessed, right? Even when you get to group, you're being assessed if you can be on the team, and that's in professional life and beyond that. Everyone's always assessing something about you. And then there's just being a dick or hazing, and there's a fine line between that. And
Right.
you can tell if you went to a bad team or a good team generally pretty quickly. I had my experience, and it's too bad because some guys they'll get to a bad team and that's it for them. They'll say, I'm done with this, and then they'll get out of the military, where they might have gone to a better team after that. But it is, right? It's our mission is at the root, right? Unconventional warfare. What the fuck does that mean? It can mean anything, right? But you have to have a certain group of individuals that, and I hate saying this, like A-type personalities. I hate that. I fucking hate that. It's just fucking killers, right? It's a whole team of killers that have to work together. And that needs to be our focus and mission. And especially as you pointed out earlier, right? You need to carry that mindset over when you get out. Why do you think guys have trouble carrying that? Because you've been in the team room and you know that environment. Why do guys have that I can do anything attitude? And I think I know the answer, but why do you think guys, they're not able to carry that mindset onto the outside?
You can't talk to civilians the same way that you talk to your boys or the piece of shit in the S1 or the S3. You can't do that. They don't understand, civilians don't understand positive, what's the word I'm looking for here? They don't understand on-spot corrections. Everything's negative. You know what it is? They make, the difference between a child and an adult is just feelings. A child will say, well, I don't feel like doing that. And they don't do it. Yeah. But guess what? It's got to get done. So who does it? The person that does it without feelings, the parents. They're like, well, fuck, it's got to get done. So I guess I got to do it. Or you make the child do it. But then you got to deal with the consequences of make your child do something, which is an attitude, a temper tantrum, or crying or some shit like that. And parents today aren't willing to do that to their kids. So when you get out of the military where you're given a mission, you're given some orders, your job is to carry them out and do them and get them done. Because if you don't, there are ramifications. You're getting in trouble. You're getting kicked off to the team. You're going to jail. You're AWOL. Yeah. You're losing pay. Right? So there's nothing for civilians out there to do that. There's nothing holding them to the fire. So it's like, hey, you need to do that. Well, I'm not doing that. Well, you're fired. Well, I'll just go get me another job. There's no competitiveness because the system, as it were, designed for the middle class people, it breeds mediocrity. It just does. I don't care what job you have. If James shows up for $19 an hour and does the minimum, he gets $19 an hour. If Ben shows up for $19 an hour, but he's doing the song and dance and makes everybody feels good, and he's happy and positive, and 15 minutes early and he leaves 15 minutes late, he still gets paid the same amount of money as James. So once Ben starts seeing that, he starts to do less and less and less until he's doing the same thing James is. He's doing enough to where he doesn't get fired, and then they're paying him enough to where he doesn't quit.
Is it like guys will get dragged down to other people's level instead of rising to what they could be, right? Or I wrote down here, guys will just turn it down so much that they'll just shut off because their personality can't fit in. So they just turn it off, and then they become like a hermit, and they just know they're nothing. They just kind of die like the lion in a cage, right?
Right. 100%. Can't do it. It's really hard for guys to get out, I think, and find purpose, which again is why when I looked out in the civilian world, I said, what the fuck am I going to do after the military? I don't want to do the contracting gig and have to prove my worthiness every single year. And I don't want a GS job and be like a lot of these other GS guys. And that was it.
Yeah. there's no recreating the life, right? So you got to find some other way to make you happy, and you can't, because on the teams or whatever, it's never enough, and you're always chasing that next step and that next accomplishment. It might take years or whatever, but you get there, especially as a driven individual. But we graduated course. What was it like putting that beret on for the first time? Did you feel like you'd climb Mount Everest, or did you feel like the guy that was now, oh shit, I'm back to being the new guy going to a team?
I guess I didn't have that new guy to the team thing, because when your first duty station as a 20-year-old is Germany, that's a big deal. Like, shit, you're leaving the country, you don't know anybody. But I did it. So that I wasn't too worried about it. I mean, I was, because the reason is because I had that big army stuff into me. Hey, just respect people. Respect people, hands behind your back. Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Back then there was no ma'ams, which was awesome. That's a different podcast. But
anyway, did you have a different subject? Did you have a combat rotation with your regular army unit also?
I did not. Okay. And sometimes I wish I did, but I'm glad I didn't, man, because those were awful. They didn't know, dude. Imagine this, field artillery, and I literally, I'm not shitting you. We had our platoon sergeant teaching us CQB with a book. He's like, all right, guys, so here's what we're going to do. So we were doing CQB with M16s. Nobody knows what they're doing. And it was awful. We'd get on one wall and we'd walk through and just kill everything. I mean, nobody knew what they were doing. It was absolutely awful. So I'm glad I didn't have a big army rotation, man.
I remember they were trying to teach us infantry tactics, and we had an 11 Bravo who was a toad jumper and got reclassed to admin, right? And he's a salty staff sergeant, airborne infantry. And the only other guy in our company that knew anything was kicked out of Ranger Battalion and came over, and he was with us. And I just remember their method of instruction was those two yelling at each other on the different tactics that they were supposed to teach us. And we didn't fucking learn anything.
Yeah, it is insane. I'm glad I don't have one with them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Anyways,
I didn't miss out on anything. When I got to the course, I didn't have a deployment, and I could have gone on a quote combat deployment. Was to sit just outside of Dubai in tents for 6 months, and they did nothing, and they got that as a combat deployment. They could see the Burj Khalifa over the sand. So I don't think I missed out on that one, but I did miss out on one in group. So did you get to go back to 110, or did you go to 10th group proper after?
So I went to 10th. I went to 2nd Battalion, ACO on 0210. I went there first for a couple of years, and then just for the 3 years at Fort Carson. And then after that, I asked my wife, I said, well, what do you want to do? I said, we can try for Germany or we can get out. And since I met her over there in Germany for the Q course, she said, let's try for Germany, see if they'll let us go over there so we can be close to her parents. So I got it approved. That was during our Iraq rotation. I got that approved, and then went over there in 2010. And I was there for 2 years as a Bravo, got a deployment underneath my belt to Afghanistan there. And then after that, I dropped my packet to reclass to Delta, PCS back to Bragg for that, because that's a 1-year school, so it's a PCS. Lived on post, basically lived at the freaking schoolhouse and studied 24/7. And then graduated in 2013 of October, went in 2012, got spring, and then graduated in fall of 2013. Went back to my same team. I left the senior Bravo, came back to senior Delta, and then within 2 months later deployed to Afghanistan as a Delta and got that deployment underneath my belt. And then from there I went to go through the desk job ranks to try and get 8. It didn't work out. Did some SOC year time to try and extend my time at 110 to over there in Germany. And then that led up until the last 3 years where I was like, hey, we can go back to Bragg and retire this thing out and figure life out, or I can go back to 110 and take a team. because I knew the battalion sergeant major at that time was Matt Kitchens, and he used to be my team sergeant. And he was like, Pat, man, you come back, I'll give you a team. You can go out with a bang. And I was like, man, that sounds really good. I said, but I need to get back to reality and figure out life after the military with my family. So that's why we came back here, and I finished up teaching surgery anesthesia at the schoolhouse.
Take me through the why. So you were an 18 Bravo on a team, and I assume you liked it because being on a team is great, right? And why did you make the decision to go and back to the schoolhouse, which sucks, and reclass to 18 Delta, which is much harder? In my mind, was it harder in reality than what you thought it was going to be, and being a Bravo?
Yeah, it was way harder than I anticipated. But I hate losing. So I won and I made it. So, yeah, I actually always wanted to be, I got exactly what I wanted. I was like, I want to be a Bravo. I want to mess with guns. I want to shoot some stuff. So I got exactly what I wanted. And then going through the Q course, they had Deltas coming out and giving classes, heat classes, cold weather classes. And I was amazed by the information that they were putting out. And I'm like, damn, you guys learn that over there? They're like, yeah, we learn a lot. I'm like, oh, okay. And all my buddies going through back when I went through, what they did was after, so it was SUT and they used to do something called SOP-C. SOP-C, I don't know if they still do it, but they did SOP-C.
Special Operations Preparatory Course?
Yeah, they did a SOP-C, and it was, if you weren't infantry, if you didn't have an infantry background, they made you go through SOP-C to prep you. It was a 2-week course on doing op orders, doing some ambushes, and then there was like a company raid at the end. So it was a very quick thing. Then you came back from that and went into SUT. I want to say that was 7 weeks.
Yeah, about something like
7
that.
weeks. All I know is we were one of the first classes where they extended it 2 weeks, and we're like, sweet, yes, lucky us.
Oh, so you were the first hard class then? I've never heard that before. You were in the first hard class.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was the first one of them. I want to say, I think we were the second or third. So not the first, but I'll take the second. I'm not trying to owe any beer here. Yeah. So we were the second or third. So did SUT, and then immediately 1 weekend break, and then SEER school. Right after that, the Deltas disappeared. And sometimes I talk to my buddies, man, and all those guys, they would just study. On the weekends, they're going in and studying. And I'm just like, damn, your life sucks. I said, I don't even study on the weekends, really. But yeah, I was just kind of amazed going through the Q course at what the Deltas learned. I said, I kind of think I want to be a Delta now. I was pretty impressed by it. And talking to them of the cadre, I said, is it too late to switch? And they said, just don't do it. They said, you're too far into the course to switch now. Just graduate, get to group, get some experience. I said, you can always reclass. I said, all right, great idea. That's what I did.
There's got to be that added pressure, though, on a team to make that decision, say, I'm going to go back to schoolhouse, because that's an even bigger step, because you're on a team, and if you go back to Fayetteville and then you fail out of the Delta course and you got to come drag your tail back between your legs to your team. Did that ever cross your mind, or it was just, I'm going to pass this no matter what?
Yeah, that never crossed my mind. Yeah. But it was tough, man, because it was, we were getting ready to deploy. And of course, I'm the first guy that's ever reclassed. So nobody knew what the paperwork was, what the process was. And being in Germany at 110, everything from there had to go through a group, which was in Colorado. So the 8-hour time difference didn't help. So it took forever. But I still kept, we did a PMT for an Afghanistan rotations, did all that. And then it came down to, well, you going to deploy, or you're going to reclass? I mean, ultimately I picked the reclass, and that's what I did. And it was crazy, man. That was a bad deployment for those guys too. One dude got shot pretty heavily. One guy got killed, not an ODA member, not a team guy. One of the contractors that was attached, he got killed. The senior Delta that went, he ended up getting injured, pretty severely. He almost died, but made it back. He's still alive. Matter of fact, I think he went out, took a team. I think that was like his last thing that he did, took a team. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Another guy, the team sergeant, got shot in the foot, from what I remember. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, that rotation. So I missed that rotation, but who knows what had happened? Maybe it could have been me that freaking died. We never know, but I don't think about that much. But I reclassed and I went back. It was a PCS.
After you finished the Delta course, was it the right decision when you got done with it? You're like, I'm glad I made the leap to go do that.
Oh yeah. That was more my thing, to be honest with you. I was getting pretty bored with being a Bravo. I was. I mean, it's the same thing. It's all it is running ranges, ammo allocation, risk assessments, risk management, and inventory of all the weapons, and then getting the barrels gauged. There's an 18 Bravo. So I just really got bored with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, then that could have been, op tempo or something like that. Were you going to a bunch of schools when you first got to a team, or was it more deployments and training cycles and that?
It was training cycles.
Yeah. Did you ever get to go to any of the fun schools, or just deploy?
I went to
No?
Lone Operator. I got to go to that one. That one was fun.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people, I don't even know if they do that one anymore. Do they do that?
I don't even know if we can talk about that one.
Oh, no, either.
I don't think so. Whatever.
No, you can Google that one. You can
Yeah,
Google
that's
it.
what my advisor said. If you can find it on Google, then you can talk about it.
You can Google it. You're just not supposed to talk about what goes on there. So I don't really talk about what goes on there. But it's also school.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I want to get your opinion on this, because I asked why become a Delta, and I ask a lot of guys, why become a Green Beret, why do this, why do that. I was watching a little clip, and Jordan Peterson, he asked Sean Ryan, he said, why become a Navy SEAL? And I don't think Jordan Peterson asks any question he doesn't know the answer to, but he's very good at what he does. And he's, why become a Navy SEAL? And Sean Ryan said, I wanted to serve my country in the highest capacity possible. And that's a great answer, right? But I think that's a now answer. Like after you're out and you think about it, because you get all that time to think about it and look back and come out with a nice polished answer for people. And I thought, what would be my answer when I was in? And it'd be like some smart ass remark, like, why the fuck wouldn't I be a Green Beret or a Navy? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't want to be like them. Like, I want to be better than them. What do you think of it? What would have been your answer in the time of why you were doing what you were doing? Not now, when you've got all the time to think about it and have the politically correct answer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like being politically correct. It's crazy. When I first, here's a real reason why I wanted to become a Green Beret. You ready? This may sound stupid, but I'm like, I don't want to do a 15-month rotation in the box. I'm like, I'd rather go with these guys and do 3 months. That was literally the number one reason why I was like, wanting to become a Green Beret, because I wanted shorter rotations, and I didn't even know anything about them. I just saw shorter rotations. I'm like, I'm not doing 15 months. I heard those stupid stories from all those guys.
It's a common theme, like, because a lot of guys, they'll say, I didn't really know anything about it. I just knew it was really hard. And that was the kind of the ignition for getting that career started. And it's crazy, right? That your basis for a decision is, it sounds really fucking hard. Let me go do that. That's, you gotta have something wrong upstairs with you, or you're just in a situation where you just feel like it's too easy. And that's kind of what the regular Army is, right? Right place, right time, right uniform.
Yeah.
And everybody
It was
succeeds.
super easy. But for me, it was the deployment lengths. I'm like, I want shorter deployments. If I'm going to go down range, I want to go in short deployments. So I didn't know anything. And then getting into it, I mean, then my answer would have changed once I get to group. Then it's like, well, I mean, if I'm going to do something, I want to be a part of the best.
Yeah. and then it's never enough once you get there, right? I want to be better. I want to be
Yeah.
go to this team. I want to do this thing. I want to go do here and do this and learn this and do this thing. You know, that nobody's ever going to give you recognition for, but you think it's cool. So we switch over to a Delta. Here's the informational portion of today. What is an 18 Delta and what is their primary job on an ODA?
I mean, the right answer is everybody's a shooter, but as far as a Delta, our primary job is to freaking pass out condoms, chapstick. I mean, basically to our guys. Honestly, it's just taking care of your dudes and making sure. Honestly, I mean, if we're really going to talk about what's the purpose of a Delta on a team, it's to make sure dudes' physicals are good. It's to make sure they're keeping up on their freaking ears. You know, go get your hearing done. Go get your vision done. This stupid shit like that. That's what it is.
If somebody gets sick on a team, are they primarily going to you to get that taken care of, or at least assess what's going on with them?
I did that.
Yeah.
But everybody's different. You get people that are like, oh, I don't do that. I only do trauma. And it's like, well, then you don't do shit because not dudes aren't getting hurt in the rear all the time. You know, that's a downrange function. So, I mean, I wanted to be useful on a team. So sit call functions, runny noses, stuffy noses, pink eye, stupid crap like that. And then really sports medicine. I got into sports medicine. In my opinion, if you want to be a badass Delta, learn sports medicine because that's where dudes are getting hurt. If you're going to be around the best, you got guys that are, you know, we've seen it. Guys go in the gym, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They got no clue, but they just go in there because that's what everybody else is doing. So sports medicine, for me, what I saw that was the biggest thing where I could really help my team. So I jumped right into that. Then I got needle certified. I learned how to tape, scraping. I mean, I could do everything for my dudes.
Was everybody on the team taking advantage of that once they found out that you could do that?
Yeah. But I just did it. Yeah, no, of course not. Nobody's about prevention. You know what I'm saying? When you're getting after it, you're trying to be in the best. You don't give a shit about prevention for the most part. Guys just get after it and then, you know, hopefully they don't get hurt, you know, but if they do, well, hey, I'll be there to help them out.
Yeah, we'll deal with the consequences later. It's a common theme in the hallway, right? And most, you know, on a team, you know, strength is up there. And you talked about getting into the gym and just going after things without any prior knowledge. If guys would just want to be strong, right? Was there any emphasis put on how to get there, or was it just generally accepted? Hey, you need to be this certain way, and you got to figure it out yourself. That's an area where you can really draw a detriment to your career, right? With injuries that'll hurt later that you don't get documented. Did you see that from a lot of guys that they would just hurt themselves and not get it taken care of?
Yeah, I'm one of them. Just fix yourself.
Why is that? Why would guys not get things documented?
Because you got to walk next door and see somebody for sick call, or you got to set an appointment, and it was just never a priority because they knew that, hey, I'll pull the muscle. Yeah, I'll be fine in a couple of days.
Yeah. What about the mental health side of things? Because you deployed, right? And that can take a toll on dudes. Did you see, because guys would see terrible things and do terrible things. Why wouldn't guys, you know, take the time to talk about things once they got back?
Meat eaters don't do that. You know what I'm saying? They don't. They feel like if you do that, well, then people are going to look down on you, talking about your feelings. Honestly, that's what some guys do. I did see a lot of CRIF guys, though. They were using the behavioral health lady, which is good. You know, it really is. It's good. I mean, I really can't answer that for you. I've never had issues with that myself, so it's kind of hard for me to understand why other people aren't as strong as some others mentally. Just like the same thing physically. You know, it's like, man, if you and I go in the gym together, like, and we do the same thing, like somehow you're going to be stronger than me in certain areas, just as I'm going to be stronger than you in other areas. It don't make sense, even if we do the same exact workout. So I don't know, man, that's just something for me. I've always been that ear though, if somebody needed it, but I think a lot of guys just don't do it because they think it makes them look weak. And that's the last thing you want to do is look weak on a team.
Yeah. And that, I guess the attitude in the team room is generally not supportive of that. If you brought up your feelings, you're going to get called any number of names. One guy said you'll get a tampon thrown at you, and or you just get made fun of until you shut up and then go get a beer, or you'll have to go on a beer run, just because nobody wants to hear you complaining.
Yeah. I think, or even worse, man, if it's something that maybe to you doesn't seem that bad, but for others, it sparks a red flag. It's like, well, now you get plucked off the team and now you're on the B team.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
And
just
nobody
going to
wants.
spiral them. That's just going to spiral them down even further. So I think a lot of guys, so maybe it's a good thing they don't talk about it so they can stay on the team, be around the guys. So they're not singled out, put on the B team or some staff position. But at the same time, it's a 50-50. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I get that, but guys will get out and they'll be just a total mess because they haven't taken care of themselves at all while they were in group. They didn't get ready to get out. You see from the financial side, they didn't do anything in that area. Their personal life is a mess. They sacrificed their whole family just to be, accepted on the team.
Yeah, there's got to be
I
better
don't,
programs out there. I mean, and especially maybe they got some stuff at group. I don't know. I know Swick tries to have some stuff for guys that are retiring out of Swick like I did, but a lot of those resources are big army, and you go there, they don't understand shit. They don't understand it, and they're used to seeing the people that are just trying to skate out of PT or they're just got some bullshit um, some bullshit medical thing they're trying to get out medically and just collect 100%. So they see all that. So then when one of us comes there with real issues, I think it's not taken as serious as it is because they just see all the weakness that's coming through. They're just trying to skate by or get out of things. I don't know, I mean, it's kind of tough, but I think there definitely needs to be a good pipeline program where it's like, hey, no, 2 years out, this is this is your place of duty, and these are your resources. Here's your point of contacts. Because there's a lot of stuff I just went by and just got a check mark because I'm like, this is stupid. Well, we don't even need this.
yeah, and you're not listening really either. And I know Green Beret Foundation, they've been going to the groups and giving transition briefs on how exactly guys need to do things. So there's more of a structure in place now, but that's taken many years to get to the point that it is now.
Yeah.
So, and I think, I agree with you there. Like at the end of the day, we're part of the Army and we're just this tiny little piece over here. So they're not going to, they focus on the majority. So do we fall in that system? Yeah. And that's just kind of how it is. We got to figure stuff out for ourselves. But the life, the life of being a Green Beret and the, I guess the time that you're operational and the intensity that it doesn't lead to making any plans for getting out. You're always focused on the now, especially when it comes to deployments or schools or things like that. What was it like deploying on an ODA? Because you went as a senior Bravo and a senior Delta, you said, right?
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Was that the kind of the culmination of what it was to be an SF guy? And you got your shorter deployments, as you said.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, we don't really do what we're trained to do throughout the Q course. It's just you go down range and all you're doing is DA. And then it depends on the time that you went. Because towards the end there, you're in an advisory role. And to be honest with you, I know that's our ultimate goal is what we want is to be in an advisory role and advising our foreign partners. But those guys, I'm not saying they're bad guys, but tactically, they don't have I don't know what it is about us Americans but we got drive like no other country has, period. And I'm not talking about like kamikaze drive like the Japanese. I'm talking about we'll do whatever it takes to win. We'll do whatever it takes to be the best military in the world. And working with a lot of these Eastern European partners that we had downrange, it's just like without us, I mean, there's just nobody's going to win without us. It's not going to happen. So the beginning, I would say, of the war was great. That was fun. We were able to do what we were supposed to do. But not really what we were supposed to be doing, right? It was just a bunch of DA. But that's fun, and that's what guys want to do, right? You want to go down there, and you want to, you don't want to shoot paper. Right. But I'll say towards the end there, that advisor role was, even though that's what we're supposed to be doing, it's not as fun as we want it to be.
I know what you mean there, right? Because you got a bunch of students that I assume they kind of don't want to be there, and you're suspicious of them, and they're suspicious of you, but you got to do this anyway because somebody's telling you to. What and what's the environment like? Because it's dusty, it's sandy, it's hot. Are you up in the mountains or you're down in the flatlands for this?
Iraq was, I mean, that was down in there. Is there a mountain place in Iraq? I think there is, maybe up north, but I think it's nice up north in Iraq. But anyways, I was in the south of Iraq. It smelled like shit the entire time. It smelled like rotten eggs, sulfur, like where we were at. It was fucking terrible. And that one actually was a 6-month deployment that got extended to 8 months because of fifth crew. Fucked us on that one. They were not smart.
Just blame another group, not here to defend themselves.
Oh, it was hilarious. They all, and not only did we get delayed 2 months, but then there was like another 1.5 2 week delay because they deployed to rip us out. And what they did is they packed up all their personal weapons, right? Their M4s and pistols in an ISU, which was coming after them. Okay. So they showed up weapon free.
Is that
idiots?
Is that bad? Is that?
We were like, what a fucking idiot! Who would even sign off on that?
Doesn't that usually go advan with like a couple guys ahead of time, right? I would think.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so that was kind of
things different in Kentucky.
Hey, maybe they do. Yeah. So that was a shit show, but Iraq was fun. In Afghanistan, we were in the mountains. That was fun. It sucked climbing those mountains. Because we did a lot of walking, and I mean a lot. Because it's really hard to drive in, so we did a lot of halves, and we would get dropped out pretty far, and we would walk in. So, but that was fun. That was fun. But yeah, we had a joint on the Afghan missions there. Or the deployments, I should say. We had a joint talk, so we were pretty close with those guys. Romanians and Hungarians.
When you were on your deployments and out there, you're on orders, right? And you're told what to do, but did you feel like you were making a difference or making the difference that higher intended you to make while you were there doing it?
Hell no.
Why is that?
Because they don't give a shit about their own country.
Were they being paid to train with you by us?
I mean, they were given free shit from us.
So
in terms of payment. I'm trying to think. Early one, I don't think I wasn't in charge of the money in Afghanistan. I don't know if they were. I think they were. They paid them. Now that I think about it, on my first Afghan deployment. Yeah.
Talked to Perry Blackburn the other day, and he said, it was really. You said it's. The deployments is not like what they train us for in the Q course. He said it was just the first part of the war was one big Robin Sage exercise. And it was surreal. They're paying the G's. They got this partner force and they're crawl, walk, run, trying to get these guys to go do exactly what Robin Sage was. And it's interesting how that morphed over into where you guys were at, to where it was like just what it would seem like a stalled exercise, right? At that point,
Oh yeah.
you're just kind of, we're here, and we got to
Yeah.
make it look like we're doing something.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I can see that in the beginning for sure. I would say we were probably my Iraq rotation in it was 09. I think, was it 09? I think it was 08, 08, 09. That one was more, that's, I think, what's maybe when the transition started. The numbers are ridiculous. They're like, oh, for every one ODA member, you need to have like 10 Iraqis with you. It's just like, there's fucking 12 of us. You want us to take 120 of these fucking guys out
On
for
a
this thing to
patrol,
get approved? Yeah. Yeah. Just on a hit. It's like, ain't going to happen. There's not 120 of them.
120. That's a lot of people. I mean, 12's a lot of people. 12's a lot of
Yeah.
people in the street, you know?
Yeah. It was just
No, I don't.
it was absurd. It was starting to get pretty ridiculous.
What was Iraq like? I'm not just asking because, all my experience is hearsay or secondhand information. What was Iraq like?
Literally just one word, fucking hot. That's it. I've never been so hot in my life. I've never been that hot. I've never experienced such an intense heat. Other than that, I mean, it was just a wasteland, desert, flat. It just looks like shit everywhere, trash. The cities are, it's crazy. It's because you wonder, oh, how do these people feed their families? You drive through Baghdad and they're just all sitting around. The traffic circles are just full of people just sitting there, just perched up like monkeys, just sitting there. Everybody's just watching everybody. The traffic's absolutely ridiculous. Um, it's just I don't understand how they even survive over there, to be honest with you.
People everywhere, traffic all the time, nobody doing anything, hot as
Yeah.
hell.
I mean,
And
I
you're
just,
just,
I don't, yeah,
when you were there, a lot of times were you just thinking to yourself, what the fuck are we doing here?
absolutely. Absolutely. I would even, my Turk didn't even want to interpret some of the shit that I was saying because these guys, they don't want to do shit. They don't want to do anything. And I'm like, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm leaving in 2 months. I'll never forget that day. I said, I'm leaving in 2 months. I said, and guess what? This war is going to come to an end. We're going to draw down and leave. And guess who's going to come over here and smoke you guys? I ran. They're going to come and smoke you guys. So you might want to pay attention and take this serious. But they just never did. And my trip's like, he's like, I'm not saying that. I'm like, you're fucking getting paid to say it. Yes, you are.
All right, we'll do a rock drawing. I'll show them that. That'll
Yeah.
translate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man. It's really crazy you're there to help them, but they don't care. So then really, what are you doing there? What are you doing there? And so everything's been a lie. Everything was always a lie there. At least at some point it became a lie where just things were not, because we weren't there just to go in there and kick in doors and just like, here's your country back. There's no training. There's no security. There's no infrastructure. There's no nothing. Here you go. Figure it out. It ain't going to work. So what were we supposed to do? We were there to, one, I mean, rid of terrorists, but two, train them and help them take back their country. I mean, that's what we were supposed to be doing. On paper, that's what was being put up. That's what we were doing. There was progress made. They were doing this. They were doing that. But they weren't doing shit. They weren't doing anything. We were the ones running everything. We were the ones out there first. And we had to be.
It's counterinsurgency at this point, right?
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we spent $1 trillion. We had to have accomplished something while we were there. We built a lot of bases, and people died. So,
Yeah.
what did we accomplish while we were there? Did anything from your point of view? Did we accomplish anything while we were in Iraq?
I mean, we got some bad guys like off the streets.
But they'll just be replaced with other bad guys, right?
And that's exactly what happened. I mean, look at it now.
Uh,
It almost looks, if you go now, it looks like, I mean, basically nothing happened. It's like we weren't even there. Erased from the history books.
yeah. Well, somebody got rich, right?
Somebody did. Yeah.
Did you see the same kind of thing in Afghanistan? Or was that just a different, did they want us there either? Or did they care about their defense of, or from your point of view?
Oh, they were even worse than the Iraqis. The Afghans were as worse. They were worse than the Iraqis. I think the Iraqi, was it third graders? I think their average IQ is like the equivalent to a third grader, and Afghanistan's less than that. So very proud
Sort
people of their families, but
yeah.
yeah, could care less about actually doing something great and getting their country back on track to like at least like take one step forward.
Why do you think that is?
And I really couldn't tell you, to be honest. I really don't understand why you wouldn't want to have a better country. Got no clue. Everything's just a handout, free. They want everything to be free, but they don't want to work.
Hmm. And that's generally what you saw across the whole country.
Oh yeah,
Another guy I talked to said occasionally you'd run across, soldiers or partner force that knew what they were doing. Did you ever have anybody in your partner force that had worked with or fought against the Russians and had stories to tell you about that?
oh well, yeah. I mean, I knew some guys. I mean, I never really talked to them, but there were some of the older guys in the partner force that, yeah, they were there when they were fighting the Russians.
What do you got to think those guys are thinking? Because they saw the Russians, the mighty Russian army come and then,
Yeah.
go and partially ousted by the U.S. And now the U.S. is here. And it just kind of was that the attitude? Oh, we're just going to sit there. These guys will be gone soon. They can't hang out that long.
No, I didn't get that sense at all.
Oh,
I mean, honestly, it was just, it's a job for them.
yeah.
It's just a job. There was no, um, there was no like trying to eradicate any of those terrorists. It was just, you got two different tribes and there's bad guys in them. One's worse than the other. And I mean, they would lock them up and release them.
Mm-hmm.
We capture some of these guys, and I mean, they're back out in weeks. It's just like, I mean, it's just, there was nothing really being done. There's nothing here. And there's so much corruption. There's just so
No,
much corruption. Yeah.
come on.
So, I mean, it's a never, we were never going to win that either.
Yeah. Well, you only hold the land. The land doesn't go anywhere. Just you move on.
Yeah.
And
It was just a cool place for us to go to and be away from our families and practice some of our skills.
yeah, unfortunately, some of the guys didn't come back.
Yeah.
That's the
And that's the
terrible part.
stupid part.
Yeah, yeah.
For no reason. If you look now and it's like, oh man, at least they didn't die in vain. And it's just like, but if you look now, no, there have been no steps moving forward with either of these countries. No.
As a whole, like as the nation
whole,
state
period.
as a whole.
Yeah. We left and they came right back in and reoccupied the country.
Yeah, Afghanistan's pretty much like, at least in Iraq, we killed the dude in charge, right? He's not coming
Right.
back. But in Afghanistan, we killed the people in charge, but not all of them. So they're just back in charge.
Yeah.
And now they have all of our weapons and tools and shit that we left behind.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're doing preventive maintenance checks and services on all of the equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
To keep it running. Otherwise, be deadline in the motor pool. So I guess sum up your deployment history is underwhelming kind of the word that you would use for that, looking back?
I mean, I had a good time. I had a
Yeah.
good time. We had, I was on good teams, good dudes. 2-a-days, eating good, going on a bunch of half missions at night. I mean, doing the cool guy stuff. If you
So
tell an average
you
person,
did get to do the cool guy stuff though,
oh yeah,
right?
of course, yeah,
Yeah. So
you get to do the cool
that's
guy
good at
stuff.
least. It's not all just hating what you're being
No,
there and
no,
the mission, what
absolutely
the
not.
mission is all about, right? So
And
you
you
still
make of
got
it
to
what it is, but the overarching goal of what was supposed to happen never happened.
yeah. Well, that can take that really does take a long time, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
find it out the hard way. We tried to do it in Vietnam, and that didn't go so well. And then we tried to do
Yeah,
it in Afghanistan, and that didn't go. We tried to do it in Afghanistan twice, right? Once
yeah,
from
and
a underhanded, and then once from an overhanded point of view, and we failed both times.
and you got to think too, and this is the problem. Like they still live like in the BC era, like mud huts and farming, and I mean that's how they survive.
Yeah,
Um, I mean that's how they live. And for us to come over there and think that we're going to somehow modernize the country and their not even the country, but modernize their mindsets and what's going on, it's like, I mean, if it was up to them, if they didn't have weapons, they'd get online with horses and they'd be charging each other.
it worked in the past. It'll work in the
Sure
future.
does.
It'll keep working, right?
Yeah.
After the rest of the world nukes itself back into the year 1000, they'll be back on top of the world again, selling their poppies. So
That's it.
anyway, on a happier note,
Yeah.
you were able to be an instructor, like you said, at the schoolhouse for being an 18 Delta. How was that?
That was amazing. That was
Why was
absolutely amazing.
like why is it amazing? Because now you got to go back and deal with students, or did you just because when you teach something, that's when you really learn it, right?
Mhm. Yeah. So I wanted surgery and anesthesia. And the reason I wanted that was I was going to drop my PA packet. That's what I was going to do. Um, so I wanted that because that's where you do all medicine, because that's at the end. So again, I guess I got to be careful with what I say, but it was very rewarding, and yeah, it's different because, well, I know back in the day they used to kind of haze during the SAR portion, the surgery anesthesia, and
Allegedly.
yeah, well, yeah, I don't mean hazing like actual hazing, but I mean like it was more of a physical thing. More, it was physical and mental, and now it's morphed into well, no, we want you to know the most possible, so it's just straight up mental, just mental fatigue. Unless they messed up. I mean, they're students, right? They need to be in check every
Yeah.
once in a while. Push up, sit ups. We're not talking about anything stupid. Just a normal smoke fest. But anyways, it was really rewarding to see those students come in there, and then 5 weeks later, the stuff that they can do. What basically it takes like an ICU nurse like a whole year to learn. Like these guys are learning it in 5 weeks for the most part. Obviously not to that same skill level, but good enough. It was just absolutely amazing to be able to teach that and see that and just know too, because you got to think that's the last step before now you're potentially going to go to a team as long as you make it through SAGE, and we're pretty confident you can save a life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big step, right? And all the deltas they were something in Robin Sage. Our deltas were like, because there was no cadre supervision, right?
Yeah.
They're like, hey guys, we're gonna, if we had supplies, we're gonna do neck sticks. I was like, I don't think that's a great idea to do that right now. Um, uh, Team Sergeant, can we? Fuck it, let them do it. It's like, this is okay. This is okay. We're gonna get all dropped here. But it was funny. They were wild. They were like, "Wow, let me show you guys what we learned." They were like shiny new toy. and they were ready to go. But they all went right through Sage. I don't think any Delta ever really has a problem once they get through the Delta course. Uh, you said drop your PA packet. How come you didn't continue your career in the medical field? Because for the person listening home, an 18 Delta is far, far beyond what you would even find in a regular paramedic in a ambulance, right? The capabilities
So
are.
it's like it's paramedic skills. So honestly, didn't know how, like, I guess badass it's supposed to be to go through that course, but just the SOCM portion alone, the Special Operations Combat Medic, the first 9 months, apparently that is the toughest trauma medical school in the world.
Yeah.
We had doctors going through that and failing it. Because they're
And
smart.
there's a trauma rotation too, to a shitty part of the country in there as well. You're in a rough part of town, and you're working the ER, or you're working in the ambulance, and you're really in the shit. I had one guy describe it to me. He was doing that portion. He said, "This is worse than Iraq." So they're every day they're seeing somebody that's gunshot wound or been stabbed or something like that, and that's part of the course. That's what they're teaching you.
It's part of the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the trauma rotation. Mine was Flint, Michigan. That place. If you want to get some trauma in, go to Flint. Stabbing, shootings every day, drive-bys. It's crazy.
What was your best call in Flint?
On the paramedic one? Well, I would say that the most, I'll give you two answers for that. The most fun, because we ride around with police officers that are also paramedics. Okay. So when you're running with them, I mean, like, this is how we had to wear bulletproof vests just like they did. Crazy, right? And so we did that. That was really fun. And the most fun, we got in a high-speed chase with a freaking, like, a crotch rocket bike that ended up, that dude ultimately crashed trying to go through the back streets. But we got on the highway, man, and those freaking Suburbans can move. I'm going to tell you that right now. They can move. So that was probably the most fun, was being in a high-speed chase. I would say, let me see here, one of the best calls. I'll tell you one of the nastiest calls was a guy we were getting off of like a ridiculous shift. It was like a 16-hour shift, an all-nighter. And it was in the morning, we were going back, and there was one last call of some dude like jumped off a bridge, and we all got that call. So like all of us went. And yeah, some dude, man, he tried to jump off. I want to say it was something like 5 stories. It was one of those overpass bridges, but it was like super high, and he was trying to commit suicide. So he jumps off, lands on his feet, lives.
That's not quite high enough.
Not quite high enough, right? But because the way he landed on his feet, he blew out both of his heels, like through his shoe. It was insane to see that stuff. And they don't do, civilian medicine's not the same as what we do, obviously. So tourniquets is not a thing. Oh. But like this dude's feet basically shattered, and his there's just bone protruding through the bottom of his shoe. So we ended up having to do all that stuff. We went ahead and put tourniquets on anyways. But yeah, the guy was in shock when we first got him, but just in the ambulance, right, obviously started coming to, and was just a hot mess, man, screaming in pain and this and that. We're just working on this guy, and we get him in there. And of course, as soon as we get in there, they just rip off the tourniquets, and we're just looking at these feet, and here comes the blood. And it's just dripping and dripping and dripping his blood. And what do? Classic Grey's Anatomy, hang 2 units of blood. And it's just like, he's perfectly great blood, just like dripping out of this guy's body. So anyways, that was probably one of the cooler calls, I guess, that I went on, was a guy, trying to commit suicide and failed. But what's cooler is you see those people, and that was when I first got there, you see those people in the hospital. So I ended up seeing that guy several times throughout the rotation, and he ended up having to get his feet amputated.
Yeah, It sounds like that was to the ultimate right away. Right? That's what I
Yeah.
thought. You're gonna lose those feet.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
he lost it.
and that's just so this is just a normal day in Flint, Michigan. Really.
Fuck, it's ridiculous, man. Gunshots all over the place too.
Yeah. Does the general public have any idea of what the paramedics, EMTs, and let's say police go through in some of these cities just on a constant nightly basis from what you saw? Because
Uh,
did you have any idea all that shit was going on before you went on that trauma rotation like that?
Hell no. I just heard it
Yeah.
was a bad part of town. Yeah, it was literally something like you've seen the movies Halloween. Michael Myers' house. It's all run down, right? Imagine every street looking like that, but people like live there. It's crazy. Like I've never seen, and I grew up in Miami, and they got the projects down there, but they're nice. It's just everything's barred up, all the doors, the windows, everything's barred up, and there's crime down there too. But this was like I've never seen poverty like that in America anywhere else. Never seen it.
Yeah, it's not somewhere you drive through, right? Like Miami's tourist. A lot of people are coming through there. They got to keep it a little bit cleaner, but nobody's going through Flint, Michigan for
Yeah,
vacation.
it's
So,
scary, man. It was like holy. There are some streets where there'd be like one or two houses, and it's like where are all these houses? Well, they all got abandoned, faulty wiring, catch on fire,
Mhm.
or they
Yeah.
become drug houses, making drugs, catch on fire, and they burn all the way down to the. They just burn all the way, literally, to the ground, and that's it.
What year was your trauma rotation?
2013.
13, so 12 years ago. Were you seeing, 'cause I know it's exploded now, but were you seeing fentanyl at all at that time on these calls?
Yeah.
No, still wasn't a
I
thing.
don't even remember. I don't remember seeing really any. It was like morphine.
Yeah.
There was like a morphine at that, but there wasn't even a lot. I don't remember going to a lot of those calls. I only remember going to one call where there was an overdose.
Mm.
Other than that, a lot of diabetics. A lot of diabetics up there.
Well, we're good at a lot of things. And
See some crazy shit with diabetics. With low blood sugar, it is
like how
some of the
low?
craziest shit I've ever seen.
Like how low we talk?
In the 40s.
Is that bad? It sounds bad.
That's super bad.
Yeah.
It's like their body can't even function correctly, but everybody's different. Some people just like pass out. Some people can. I remember going up to one dude's place. He was sitting there. It was almost like he couldn't breathe, and the way he was breathing was crazy, and he could not talk. He could not say a word to us. So I can't remember. The paramedic knew it. They're like, "Did he eat today?" And she was like, "Nah, he didn't eat today. I don't think he did. Yeah, I think he skipped lunch." Yeah. So we immediately gave that guy sugar, and that was it. Like immediately a normal person within seconds. Within seconds. Immediately just sitting there like nothing ever happened, talking to us. He's like, "Yeah, man, I just lost track of time. I didn't eat." It's crazy. Diabetes is no joke. Civilians can have that crap. I'm so glad we don't deal with that in the military.
No, yeah. Well, it's a different population, right? What do you? I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and you're seeing the news with we're going to make America whatever healthy again, right? That's a
Right.
tough task. That is a tough task to turn around. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I am at the extreme end of the spectrum, right? With my diet, I eat three things: beef, rice, and milk. That's pretty much it. That's 95% of my food for the whole month, even. Um, and that's pretty healthy. Most people think it's not. Uh, by when I tell them what I eat, but it's not. But I have pretty much unlimited energy. Strength is going up, fitness, everything very healthy, low body fat, and blood work's all perfect. Why do you think the perception of health considers what I do unhealthy and just considers what they've been doing for the last 60 years to be the normal, and that's fine. Why do you think that we veified Whole Foods?
It's just media.
No.
That's it. It's media. It's things that they purposely put in food that just your brain gets addicted to it. Or concepts, or some type of research, or hey, this is one guy did this, right? Because nothing works until there's proof.
Yeah.
Nothing works until there's proof. And honestly, people are just fucking lazy, right? Your diet, that is hard. That requires discipline. And for you, it might not be hard. You're like, shit ain't
It's
hard. I do it all
I
the
do
time.
it because it's so lazy. If you see what I do, it's so lazy compared to even going out and buying food, taking that home and cooking it. I I mean, I will make 2 pounds of ground beef, mix it with 2 cups of rice, and I'll eat that. And that might be the only thing I have for the day. And just because I don't have to do anything else, because eating's a chore when you eat that much food. But
Oh yeah.
but I also didn't believe it at first either. I didn't believe that I'd be healthy going on a carnivore or semi-carnivore diet. And you get the blood work back and you're fine. You go, hey, maybe these people are lying to me. Maybe maybe it's all bullshit. You see Back
It
to the
is.
Future's bullshit? No.
Yeah, that's real.
But
Yeah, it's just
I,
yeah. I mean, and I know we were kind of talking about this before we even started the camera, but yeah, fucking people, man, people are fucking lazy. People
why
are
is that?
lazy.
Have we just advanced so much that everything's, the touch of a button now and instant gratification, and you don't want to be uncomfortable. Is that it? People just don't want to be uncomfortable.
That's 100% it. People don't want to be comfortable. People don't want to. They want to run with the pack. They want to run, not even the pack, the herd.
Yeah.
Because a pack, I mean, you got to be some type of apex predator to be running in the pack. So they want to be a part of a school. They want to be a part of a herd. That's where it's safe. Hey, just do what everybody else is doing. But really, it's the system. This system today is breeding mediocrity. It is. Any job that's out there breeds mediocrity. That's what corporate America does. So what they've done is like, you show up to a job, $19 an hour, which is shit pay anyways. You show up at $19 an hour, you're a shit bag. You show up, your shirt's halfway untucked. You take 10 smoke breaks a day. You take a 2-hour shit, and you crush some candy while you're on there, and you're doing the bare minimum, but you still get paid at the end of those 2 weeks, right?
Mhm.
Johnny comes in there, same job, shirt's all the way tucked in. He's 15 minutes early. He lives 15 minutes late. He does a song and dance for everybody, makes everybody happy, gives everybody compliments, goes above and beyond, gets paid the same exact amount of money. So he's going to start seeing that. And little by little, he's going to start doing less and less and less, to the point where now he's doing the minimum so that way he doesn't get fired. And they're paying him just enough so he doesn't quit. And then he'll stay doing that for so many years to the point where he's so defeated and now he's mentally comfortable with doing that, that if something comes along that's better, more than likely not going to jump on it because he's just been so defeated and now he's so comfortable that, well, that's who he is now. It's changed his personality.
Yeah. You get dragged down by the level of your competition or the people that surround you, right? Um, I think he's a friend of yours, Jamie Tilka. Um, I think you guys are friends on Facebook. He said you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with the most.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the same in anything in your social life and your friends, everything. I was scrolling down in one of your posts and I circled one of them about, I just spoke with a teacher that makes 18,000 a year. How do you live on that? Can you, I got some opinions there, but what's the background on that post there?
Yeah. I met with some lady on here. I did an interview with her. Um, yeah, she's like, I don't even know what it's called, but it's one of those teachers that goes around with kids that have ADHD and she
Special
helps them
needs?
kind of like focus. Like almost every kid's got ADHD now. It's like, oh, I thought that they were just being a child. You know what I'm saying? I mean, kids are kids. So she goes around and she just kind of does that. But also has a child. But again, wants more out of life, financially and for her child. But because my work is a little bit more independent and really a lot harder, that was not of interest to her because of the level of difficulty. And I'm just like, okay, that's totally fine. But I just don't get that number and the struggle and the debt. And there's a chance, but because you don't like it or you choose it's not a good fit, which I mean, I'm fine with it. I just don't get that side of it. My side, I don't care. Hey, you probably wouldn't have worked out here anyways. But that I don't understand people's mindsets behind that.
Well, having work ethic is one thing, right?
Yeah.
I got, I circled here, teacher and 18,000 a year. Why do you think we pay teachers so little, and why do they keep doing it? Because they must love it, right? They must absolutely love being teachers. Otherwise, but the cost of living keeps going up, and the pay for teachers is pretty flat,
Right.
and we got to keep at it for the kids. We got to keep at it for the kids. Do you see a breaking point in the future coming for that? Because they're just going to stop with the new generation coming in, right? The younger generation is going to say, I'm not going to do that. Where do you see that going?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I just had a conversation about this the other day with somebody because I was like, well, let me ask you this. I asked this lady that was in my office, I said, you think teachers should get paid more? And she was like, oh, absolutely. And I said, well, why? She said, well, they're shaping the future generation. The classic answer. Well, they're shaping the minds of the future. And I'm just like, okay. Well, I think teachers are getting paid exactly what they're supposed to be getting paid. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, well, let me elaborate. I'm not just going to leave you on that. I'm like, what is a teacher being paid to do? And let me put this in context. In the public school system, what is that teacher getting paid to do? She's getting paid to teach kids to get good grades, go to college, get a degree, find a good job. You'll get a good job with that degree. You'll climb the corporate ladder and you'll be able to retire totally financially independent and debt free.
Okay.
But who's done that? I don't know anybody that's used that system.
Oh, as Rick
That's done that.
Sanchez from Rick and Morty says, school is not a place for smart people.
Right.
See, I saw quite the difference because teachers are doing if if we restrict it to right when they get to the school to right when they get off. I guess you're just herding cats, right? But my wife, she was teaching kids, and it would never ended. It never ended.
Oh, yeah.
She'd come home, and it's like there's this. We do the math with the vehicle and the gas and the travel and the time. You're not making any money. You're not making any money. And at the time, with taxes and stuff, it was just going towards taxes anyway. So there's no point in it. So we're not doing this anymore. You're working twice the hours I am for $0. But
Right.
that's why are we forcing jobs that should be done by other things? Or, the government's pointed this out, right? With the schooling, we're dumping all this money into education, but everybody's getting stupider. And as a population, we're getting stupider and stupider. And now there's outrage. How can you cut education? Well, we're like, what, 20th in the world in math and engineering or something like that? We're getting worse every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then your whole thing's like financially oppressed, right? Where's the U.S. going with this whole audit of the government and how we spend things? Because you would know as well as I know, the U.S. government wouldn't abuse or waste money at all, right? Wait,
So, yeah.
What's coming out of this? Are you surprised by anything that's coming out of?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. I'm actually surprised the numbers aren't higher, to be honest with you. you know. But anyways, just real quick to finish up the school
Yeah.
thing is, so the teachers are getting, in my opinion, they're getting paid exactly what they're getting, what they're supposed to get paid, because they're teaching kids to grow up and get jobs that are paying the minimum as well. So why pay somebody a lot of money to teach somebody to accept the minimum? Right? Well, no, we're just going to pay somebody the minimum to teach kids to grow up and take the minimum. All right. So that's my take on public school. Now, private school is not doing that, but people are like, I can't afford private school. Well, if you go to private school, they're creative. They work in teams. They collaborate. They talk about business. They talk about money. They're actually getting stuff that they can use, but that's what a private school does, which is why people pay for private school.
So I don't remember anything about school, really. So, I mean, I was trying to think the other night if I actually learned anything, and it probably was math. I learned math and maybe a couple other things, but I don't know if there's anything I took out of school with me. Because it's a shame. I don't think that's improved either, right? It couldn't have, because I think they're lazier than I was, and I was pretty lazy when it came to school. So I guess it's a more deeper discussion. I think we've gotten off a little bit there, but I think we can both agree that school is not a place for smart people.
No. And then, I mean, and not about the school, but you were just asking another question about, the money and the financially oppressed thing. I mean, it's just it's this, again, it comes back to the system and how it's designed. It's not designed for people to go into the corporate system and actually flourish and get ahead. It's not. It's designed for you to go into a system to make the top people on the top 3 floors all the money. I mean, that's what GM did. Back in the day, GM, they were floundering. So what they do, a guy came in, he said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give 80% of the profits to 20% of the company. And then boom, it exploded because of the Pareto principle. So the Pareto principle says that 20% of the work was going to produce 80% of the work. And I mean, let's look back at the military. Look at just a simple platoon or a company. If you look at that company, who really did the impactful work? About 20%. 80% was out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. So that is a law. That is now a law. A lot of people don't know about it. But you go into any company, only 20% of those people are doing 80% of the work. So that means 80% are doing 20% of work. Those are the 2 average shitters, the people on smoke breaks all the time. So really I think my biggest purpose, people got to wake up and know the numbers. Until they know the numbers of what's really going on out there, they're not going to change, because they think that they know their numbers, but they're wrong. They don't know their numbers. They just think that they know their numbers. And the fact of the matter is, most people in America, they're never going to retire. They're not. No. They're going to work until the day they die. Yeah. People don't even know how the system works, even though that they're in it. You know how many people that think that they're paying into Social Security and it's like a retirement account for them? They think that. It's not. It's nothing. It's a pyramid scheme. It's just legal.
Yeah, I saw a post last night. Guy claimed that if you took the same max Social Security withdrawal from 21 to 66, it would be $32,000 a year if you were to put that same money $32,000 a month.
Yeah,
if you had taken that same money and put it in the S&P 500. People, why are we not rioting over things like this? We just let it happen. We went in 250 years. We went from dumping tea in the Boston harbor to giving 50% of everything we make back to the government. Why did we let that happen? How did we let that happen? Did the market collapse in the Great Depression allow government to become so big going into World War II that it just took over?
I think it did. I think what it was because of that. And what happened was the Industrial Revolution. When that happened, that supplied people with what they were willing to accept to keep their families fed and dressed. That's what I think happened. And then and then everybody became dependable. And those people, maybe they felt grateful because of that. So then they taught their kids to be grateful for that and just to, hey, do what I did because it worked out. And it was pretty nice. We didn't have to worry about anything because our jobs had us. They had our backs, right? And that was a good thing back then. But because we're a capitalist country, what happened was that was going well up until 1986 when they phased out pensions, because capitalism really kicked in and they said, wait a second, guys, we're spending a lot of money on these people that helped us grow these companies. We don't want to do it anymore. But then there was also a lot of people afraid to put their money into the market because of the fluctuations and the ups and downs. And because they weren't educated on how the market works, a lot of people tried to gamble, which they still do today with day trading, and people lose their money. So they said, well, I'm not going to put my money in the market. So what happened was, between corporate America and Wall Street, they came up with the 401k, where through the corporate system, they were able to make people invest their money into the market. That's what a 401k is. Mm. So people are still so ignorant. People are still so ignorant. They have no clue. Hey, you investing in the market? No, I would never do that. You got a 401k? Yeah. Your money's in the market.
Who's profiting off that money investment?
Well, I mean, whatever companies that are inside that portfolio. Yeah. Could be small cap, could be an actual industry. It could be, I mean, definitely that company is the fund manager, whatever company that's going through. If it's Fidelity, Voya, Lake Mason, Morgan Stanley, I mean, they're the ones managing that. So there's fees involved, obviously. So they're making the money off of that.
So what are you doing to open people's eyes at Unconventional Warriors to help them get out of that and become financially not oppressed, be liberated from their financial oppression?
It's just the education, man.
Yeah. Like what's the main thing that you point out to people where they go, aha?
The Rule 72.
What's that?
That's a compound rule for your money. And the way I explain it, I talk about the banks, I talk about the 401k system, I talk about, really the corporate system, which includes the school system. That's the 403Bs. But I really talk about that system and how and I'm able to show them that that's the system that's been designed really for the middle class, which is the 401k corporate system and the banks. And how the numbers just don't add up. And you're just never going to stop working if you stay inside that system. So somehow they have to get out of that, either through work, some type of business, investments, something. They got to do something. I mean, if you look around, I mean, Nick, I don't know why this question entered my brain. The whole reason I even came down this path and then where I am today is because for whatever reason, it popped in my mind a little bit over 2.5 years out before I retired. I said, how do rich people make their money? I've never thought of that before. And when I started looking at that and doing my own little research, I'm like, well, they're not really working for their money, are they?
But I think I saw your graphic and it was 0% were employees or something. It was 93% and then 6%, and there was breakdown of it.
Oh, you're talking about the wealthy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little picture. I saw that from somewhere. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of stuff's not original for me. I see it. So anyways, yeah, I mean, it's a capitalistic country. How do you capitalize on things? You got to have leverage. Mm-hmm. You got to have leverage. I always tell people that, I mean, there's so much that I could talk about here. It's not even funny in terms of this. And I know we're kind of maybe getting outside of maybe the actual intention of this, but
It's my show. I get it's as
there we
long
go.
as I
Yeah.
find it interesting. So yeah,
Yeah, brother.
I just got to check with the producer. Oh, that's me. Yeah, we're
Is
good.
he good?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
cool.
we're good. Yeah.
So, um, well, let me ask you this. What's the purpose of a credit score?
Oh my God, that drives me nuts. Right? Yeah. I don't know. I just like having it high so that nobody gives me any problems. But I get more mail. I think it's to get to send. It's to have more mail for the mail service to carry and carry on more debt to get more money from the taxes. That's really what it is. Because I get 10 times the amount of mail when I have a high credit score as when I had a low one. So I think it's
Right.
a pyramid scheme with the USPS. But you're probably going to tell
Might
me the
be.
reason. You're going to tell me the reason here.
Yeah. So the whole reason of a credit score is it's for somebody that has nothing to leverage besides on-time payments and a good debt to income ratio. That's it. There's no other reason for a credit score. Now, how do we know that? Well, look at rich or wealthy people. Do you think they care about credit scores? The answer
Oh
is no.
no.
Why? Because they have things to leverage if they need to borrow money. That's it. They have real estate, they have investments, or they have businesses that they can leverage to a bank or a financial institution to get whatever loan that they need, right? And they're not getting loans to go and buy a car and put some stupid rims on it or to go to Disney World. They're getting another loan out to buy an income producing asset. That's what they're doing. But they will leverage what they currently have to get that money for it. So that way, maybe they don't have to liquidate their investments that are producing them money. See that? So because most middle class people don't have any assets, they have no assets at all. They got nothing to leverage. So the only thing they can leverage to get a loan is a credit score.
Yeah. Okay. So again, something that's not taught in school or not taught, period, right? And then, um, what would you say the percentage of stories that come out in the news are totally fabricated by whoever owns the news outlets?
I mean, up on anything outside Fox News.
I
I
think
don't even
everything
watch
to
that.
a degree,
Yeah, I mean
everything's
everything to
to
a
a degree
degree.
is made up,
Hey,
right?
they're all hired actors. They're all paid actors.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. They're paid actors. I mean, if it's not on fire, if it's not being blown up, if it's not bleeding, if there's not a rally behind it, well, we ain't putting it
Yeah.
on the news.
Well, I say that because, you figured this stuff out, but it's not something really that's talked about, but until you analyze what the more successful people are doing. But then you get to the more successful people in the upper echelon, they control 99% of the world with the top 1% of the population, right? That's how things are
Yeah.
controlled. I don't know. I don't know. You start looking at everything, and everything becomes a conspiracy
Yeah.
theory eventually, to keep everybody down. But I think not even that complicated. It's like
It's not.
doing what you're saying is easy. You just write it out, but then application in real life is difficult. You have to actually take the steps and take the risks, for the
Yep.
reward that's not instantaneous, and work at it. It's tough. We did the same thing in SF. We didn't know how it was gonna work out, but we just did it in faith, just because we knew we could. I think most people aren't committed enough to make that decision to take a leap, especially in your life when you have a family that depends on you and you have a house and a payment and you're locked down by all these things that drag you down to where you just have to meet that amount of money every month to make a payment, and it really, ties you down.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a lack of commitment and risk, like you said. I mean, most people's, you know, Is it risky? That's what a lot of people say. But all wealthy people understand risk management. They'll analyze
Yeah.
things. They'll look at it. Most people, they want zero risk involved. Well, then you're not going to get
Yeah.
ahead. I mean, there has to be a level of risk, and there always is. It's just if they're willing to accept it or not. The fear of loss for people, the power of loss is insane. People will, they will fight tooth and nail to not lose $50. But in the other hand, if they could earn 150, they won't do anything. But they'll fight for hell not to lose $50. Like, it just makes no sense. It's like, just lose it, make the 150, and you actually made 100. You got your 50 back and you made 100. No, man, I can't lose that 50. And it's just like, what don't you understand? But there's something in our brains where we don't want to lose. And I mean, there's apps. I'm not sure if you've ever seen those. There's apps where you can hold yourself accountable to do certain tasks and it's only with money in terms of loss, right? You can bet against yourself and you can hold yourself for some goals and you put money to it. And if you don't do it, then you lose that money. I don't know where that money goes. I've just heard of this app where it does it. I don't know where that money
I'm sure it goes right to the government.
Probably does.
What from my experience from drinking too much, no one will do anything unless they have to or want to.
Mm-hmm.
And to stay afloat doesn't get you to that point of have to or want to. As long as you're staying afloat, you'll just be comfortable and you'll just keep trucking along. It's kind of when you destroy your life or ruin everything that you have, that you got to make a choice of do something that you either have to do or want to do. And most people never get to that point, especially with, finances, fitness, education, anything. They never get to that point, at least of the have to do. A lot of people do things because they want to do them, but that's not, that'll only get you, I think it'll get you a long way. I mean, we got us this far. I do this because, I want to. I just do it. So that'll drive you a long way. But so what is this something with the finance, liberating people from their financial oppression? Is that something that you feel that you want to do, or is it now you feel that these things? Is it something you feel you have to do to teach people to continue to be that partner force, right? You're just teaching the indige now, and you got to share it with people. Obviously, there's financial gain for you, but do you feel that this needs to be out there, and you're the person that needs to share it with people?
100%. I didn't feel like that in the beginning, but the more and more people that I've helped, and the more just a person that I see, and it does really become meaningful until you actually find people that want your leadership and your help. So what went from, I'm just doing this for my kids, building a business so I can pass it down to them. It went from that to there's actual purpose and meaning behind it now. And that's when things really started getting serious for me. Because of that. So it went from there's a need to like, now I have to do it. Like, because it has to be done. It just has to be.
It's a different feeling, right? When you've got a project and then it goes from a want to, no, now I need to do this. I need to accomplish this. You become obsessed with it. I spoke about that a long time ago. It's just, there's, the difference between, consistency or commitment and obsession. That's different. That's when you really start accomplishing things. But you also, especially with going through the Q course and becoming a Green Beret, I was obsessed. That's all I wanted, and sacrificed a lot of things to get there.
Oh yeah.
I guess there's a fine line of what you should give up, especially in the civilian world, to accomplish your goals. What was was there anything you sacrificed to accomplish your goals in the military that came up? Is that you put aside? You like, this is because the Q course and group is general. It's pretty pretty oppressive. And you've seen in the hallway, guys will sacrifice their family, their friends, their relationships, and everything. Is there
Oh
anything
yeah.
you had to give up to keep that life going?
Um, I mean, luckily in the Q course, I was single. Well, I guess I wasn't single. I mean, I guess I was single about halfway through it. Then I got engaged to my right now wife. Um, I don't really remember giving up that much. I mean, it's just something that I wanted to do. So it was like my plan. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel like I actually sacrificed anything because it was my plan. I don't know if that makes sense.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I didn't because that was my plan. So I already knew there were things that just like weren't going to happen. But I don't think that they were really those things weren't that important to where I was like, oh man, that's going to be a sacrifice. That's going to have to wait until later. I would say the only time I guess I felt like that was on my first deployment, not my first one ever, but my first deployment when we had our child, my daughter. That was probably a sacrifice to miss that time that I can never get back and come back a stranger. That's when I was kind of like mentally, I was done because I had been going so hard and sacrificing time away from my wife. But again, because I was so focused on what I wanted to be, that I guess at the time I didn't see that as a sacrifice.
Yeah. Now
Looking
looking
back,
back.
that was definitely a sacrifice. I just didn't know it at the time.
Well, you
But I
recognize it
would
and make
say
up for it.
that was the first one. Yeah, missing coming back, and I was a stranger to my daughter. That really hit me, and I was like, I don't want to leave anymore.
You said that was your first deployment?
No, that was actually my third deployment,
Third deployment.
but that
Okay.
was the first one when like we had a child.
Mm. So you've been in for a while at that point, but
Oh yeah.
um, did you ever consider going on to the, special missions units or anything like that and doing another selection, or was that not an option for you?
No, I had thought about that, but I didn't even start getting those emails until when did I started getting those. I think we already had our daughter. And I started getting those emails popping up. Um, it never crossed my mind to go because of my family, because I already knew what that side of the fence is. That's like even busier. And I'm like, damn, I'm already busy right now. I can't imagine being busier. I'm like, that ain't going to work.
You ever get to work with those guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different up tempo of life.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool.
Yeah,
It'd be
my
cool to
neighbors,
see.
my neighbors, he's not with those guys anyways, but yeah, he's pretty busy. Super cool dude though. It's like the same. I mean, it's the same type of guys. I think, uh, and I could be wrong. At least the guys that I've met with, I feel like they're a little bit more mentally mature for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because that special mission set or what. Because I mean, again, it's more specialized than what we were doing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Everybody I've met so far has been pretty cool. But yeah, just the op tempo, man. I'm like, no, thank you.
Oh, 100% all the time. Yeah, I'm hoping I can get somebody on one of these days, a retired guy, and come fill me in on some stuff that we can talk about. So I'm excited about that
Yeah,
eventually.
that'd be
But
pretty cool.
so did you accomplish everything in your career that you set out to do? Was there anything you think back on now, wish I would have got to do that?
I mean, of course, there's some schools that I didn't get that I wanted that I asked for. And again, that's not up to me. That's up to freaking chain of command and team sergeant, right? Other than that, I would say yes. I was able to, I mean, I'm very fortunate and blessed to be able to be a guy that did freaking basically 17 years in group, 2 MOSs, 3 deployments, several deployments throughout Eastern Europe, and like I'm still alive, I'm still healthy, I'm still good. I still got my wife. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I'm very blessed and fortunate to have all that. So, in my opinion, I got to check every box, and they're still checked.
It's good. I mean, a lot of guys don't have that. Mm.
I know, man, it's crazy.
You get to
Like,
the end and they
and
have nothing.
I think about that sometimes, because, when some guys talk to me and ask me, oh, man, you did this, you did that. It's like, yeah, man, I know guys that didn't come home. Shit sucks. I said, so I'm super fortunate, man. I don't take advantage of my situation at all.
Yeah. That is tough, have friends that go and they don't come back, and all you got to do is just think about them. Every once a year, you do a workout at the gym, hero workout, and that's that is a bummer. And then what you said earlier, for what, right? For
Yeah,
what?
man. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. What's it like now? You've transitioned out and being a veteran has that obviously a special forces mentality is part of who you are now, especially I can see it in the business name.
Yeah.
How is it now being a veteran and being out?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I only work with people that can kind of work at the same capacity as me, which is nice because there's no way that I could. It's something that's going to carry me through the rest of my life, which could be a downfall. But luckily, the inner circle that I have, they all are pretty, I would like to say, elite. Like they operate at an elite level, in terms of business, not finance, just business itself. And I can relate to them. I can totally relate to them. So for me, and I don't know if anybody else has this problem out there, but we are not designed to talk to normal average people. At least I'm not. Like, it is very difficult for me to even be a part of a conversation around somebody like that, because it's just the intensity is different. The thought process is different, like what they like versus what I like, or what makes sense to them versus what makes sense to me. It's like, it's just different. It's just totally different. So for me, like I had to purposely find people that I could relate to in some capacity, that I could be like, okay, that's kind of on our level up here, where I've been for like such a long time. At least that's been the thing for me. That's been one of the hardest things for me, even still, like in this transition process, is like, it's very hard for me to talk to just and be around certain, like the majority of people. And that's not like a PTSD thing.
You can hold the people around you to a higher standard, right? And if you don't like the people around you, you just find different people. There's a lot of people out there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's one thing I like with this, me trying to go out and do public speaking and events and things like that, is learning different ways to talk to all kinds of different people, right? That's just a skill that we all have to learn. But if you don't have to, if it's something you don't want to do, just don't do it. Find something else to do, right?
100%.
That's the beauty of it's your business too. It's my show, so I get to do what
I know,
did
man.
did you did it go by too fast, the time in uniform? I know it did for me. I was at basic training, and then I was out, and then I was angry, and I was like, nah, this
Dude, it goes by super fast. Yeah. Especially with you got to think too. I started artillery, then became a Bravo, then became a Delta. Like that stuff went by really. That 5 years as a Bravo, it flew by so quick. It flew by so fast. It was like, here's another deployment. I'm like, fuck, man, I got to put in this packet if I ever want to reclass before it's too late.
Yeah.
And even it was even kind of late when I did it. My battalion CSM, he was like, hey man, he's like, I'm going to prove this, but I just want to chat with you real quick. He's like, if you do this, it was like a Back to the Future timeline. He's like, here's your timeline in 1980, what was it, 1983, 1984? I can't remember. 1984.
Well, there's 85 and then 80 and 55.
There we go, 85. Yeah. So, hey, here's your 1985, 18 Bravo timeline, and you'll get picked up here and here. He's like, what's going to happen? He's like, you're going to come off of that timeline and create an alternate timeline for your Delta, and it's going to kind of start all over again. I said, Sergeant Major, I've already been kind of screwed out of a bunch of schools that I should have got, that I earned and deserved. I said, so I need this. I can control this. I got screwed out of those schools because of team sergeants and chain of command. I said, I need this, one, because I want it. Number two, I need to get something. Like, you guys aren't going to let me get schools, then let me get another MOS and let me get something that I can use that's practical on the outside. That's going to help people. So that's why I did it, and never got picked up for 8 because of it, apparently. So whatever. I don't care because I loved being an 18 Delta.
Now, if you had made that deal with Sergeant Major to go back and take a team, would you have made 8 then, and you'd still be in the military?
I don't know, man. Never know.
Yeah. So, I mean, how tempting was that? Hey, come back, take a team, because that's the goal, right? That's the that's the crystal in Indiana Jones, or switch that out that everybody wants when they get to a team to be the team sergeant. How tempting was that?
Well, at the time, it wasn't tempting. I'm just like, whatever, because we know it's after team time, staff time. So, and I'm just like, so I sacrificed that. I guess you could say that was a sacrifice, but I don't know. It didn't bother me because I really wanted to be an 18 Delta. I really wanted to do that. That was something I was really looking forward to.
Why? So I don't know. Did you say why not continue the career in medical?
I don't think I did. I think we got off track there. I didn't because I honestly just didn't. I don't want to work hard anymore. That's what it came down to. I knew there was going to be a lot of studying. I knew there was going to be a lot of 80-hour, 100-hour weeks. And I'm just like, do I really want to do that? Do I really want to do that? And actually, one of the biggest reasons why I didn't do it in the military was I didn't want to put my family through 3 moves. That's what was going to happen in 2.5 years, 3 PCSs. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
So Texas, you got to go a couple places, don't you? That's rough. Yeah, PCSing in the military sucks. When you're single. When you get a family, it's even worse. So
that was actually one of the biggest factors. So that's why I was like, I'll get out and do it. But then this fell into my lap, man, and I was like, I found out that I can make the same money, but primarily from home. I said, I'm gonna do that because I can still help people.
All right. Well, I can agree with that. I got a couple questions for you, and then we'll get off, and we'll see where things go. But if you're ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What is your response to thank you for your service?
Well, typically when people, what do I say or what do I think?
People break this question down when I ask them into ways I never thought they would, and they get like a whole holistic approach to even the question. So, yeah. But generally, it was intended as when people say thank you for your service. What is your response?
Mine's just a quick, hey, no problem. My pleasure.
No problem. I like that. The young guys, they don't have anything queued up. And they'll go, oh, well, yeah, I kind of fall on my face when I don't know what to say. But I always say it was an honor. And that's kind of shuts it down right there.
Yeah.
What is the one? Hey. Yeah. Hey, thanks, man. What is the one characteristic that sets operators apart from conventional forces?
And that's a good one. I'm gonna say discipline.
How much discipline
100%.
does it take to be a Green Beret?
In terms of a percentage?
No, like what's that level of you? Because you meet everyday people and they'll have discipline and going to the gym. Is it something that borders on psychosis or obsession? Because it's you got to be there. I'm talking about all the time.
I don't know if it's obsession or any of that. I would say it's more of just like a commitment of being a fucking man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how else to put that. Like, being a real man and being committed to something.
How's it compare? How's it
Yeah.
compare to from a soldier, a regular Army soldier, to an SF guy? What's that? Because that's the jump, right? Because we both came from the regular Army and field artillery, and there's no comparison. That's
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I mean, they just like, they want to be told what to do.
yeah,
They do. They want to be told. I don't know about you. I did not want to be told what to do. Tell me what needs to get done and then let me do it.
there's
But
a lot of
don't
ways to skin
tell
a
me
cat.
what to do, please. I'm an adult. And you should be able to trust me. I'm fucking Green Beret. Just tell me what needs to get done. I'll get it done as fast as I can. I'll let you know when I'm done. That's it.
And hopefully not cause an international incident.
Yeah.
But
I mean, but that's the whole what's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to get over there too, was I was like, man, I want to be treated like an adult. Big regular Army, they treat you like a damn child. And that's it. So yeah, hey, I don't need to be told what to do. But just tell me what needs to get done. Give me a deadline and I'll get it done. Give me the deadline. I'll get it done for you. Not a big deal.
yeah, it takes. I mean, you got to make it to at least senior E7 or E8 in the regular Army to be not treated like a child. And even then, there's it's probably only 50% of the time that you're not getting treated like a child.
Yeah.
What's the one moment of your career that you wish you could go back and relive?
I'm trying. Who's going to listen to this? Nah, I'm just kidding.
Not those stories. Not those stories. Yeah.
No, no, what I mean is, I mean, I don't know. It kind of depends. Like I had a great, like my first duty station in Germany when I was in a big army, like that was my college. I mean, that was just fun and partying and all this other stuff. Right. But then, if we're going to if we're going to keep it SF here, honestly, I would say my second deployment to Afghanistan. Like that was fucking fun, man. That was my best deployment. That was fun. We had an amazing team. We were senior dudes, fucking going out twice a week. I mean, that was the cool guy deployment. And it was crazy, Nick, because after that deployment, we're getting ready to fly out and you start mingling back with the teams, right? Wait for the flight. And I'm talking to other dudes and they're all bitching. They were bitching and complaining. They didn't do shit. There were teams that maybe went out 2 or 3 times. They went outside the wire. And I'm like, really? I'm like, we did 42 half missions. They were like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, what'd you guys do? Oh man, we went out like 2 or 3 times. I'm just like, fuck. Like, what a waste of time.
Is that like because of you said you had a strong team? Did they just have a team that wasn't trying to push it, or the team leader and the team sergeant just weren't on it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. You know how it goes, man. I mean, seriously, your team, like you can have a shitty team, but if you got a strong team sergeant, like that can be a badass team.
It's amazing. You switch out 1 or 2 people and what difference you can make on a group of special operations guys. Yeah. It really, that's too bad. But would you say that's like the pinnacle of your career as a Green Beret, where it all came together? Was that deployment on that team? That was it.
Yeah, man. It was just fucking, it was awesome, man. It was absolutely awesome. I mean, like I can almost remember the entire deployment. That's how amazing it was.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. I love that when guys talk about, because when I ask them the question, they'll go back to that time where that was it. That was the top of the mountain where they got exactly what they wanted out of their career. And to hear that and just be like, that was it, man. There's nothing's going to compare to that.
It won't, man. Because after that, it was the pinnacle. Because after that, it went to shit.
Oh, good. Well, I mean,
yeah.
It
is what it is. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Swap team sergeant left, became first sergeant. We got a shitty team sergeant in there, and then people PCS'd and got a new team leader, and he tried to run the team and weak team sergeant and the whole 9 yards, man. And I was like, fuck, I might as well go for 8 now. So let me climb through the admin stuff. So then I did battalion time, battalion med time. Then from there, I did SOC year time. Worst assignment in my entire career being at SOC year.
Really?
Worst ever. You want to talk about toxic? That solidified why I was getting out. I was fucking done. Was because of sock here. And the sergeant major that took over, Bruce Holmes. I don't know if he's ever going to listen to this. That guy sucked. And I knew it from day one. Day one, I'd say it to his face today. That guy, I'll never forget this. And I'm pretty good at judging people, man. And this guy, I shook his hand, and really nice guy, very political. I'm like, oh, in my mind, I'm like, this dude hung up his Green Beret a long time ago. Like, he hung it up a long time ago. Right. And I'll never forget, I left his office. I walked up the stairs and I said to myself, man, what a nice guy. But I could never trust him. There was just something about him. I could never trust him. And I was exactly correct, man. And I'm not talking about just me. Like, anyways, I don't want to get into it, but just like, there's a lot of NCOPD that we want to do with this guy, just the green suiters, which there wasn't a lot at the TSOC. And he shot it down. He said, no, why would you not want to help Green Berets, like, and further their career to possibly get promoted and help us, you know, with our files and schools and looking at team time and all. Like, why would you want to have a specialized, like, just, hey man, let's get the guys together and let's just help us out, Sergeant Major. I feel like that's supposed to be his job anyways in that position. Shot it down. I couldn't believe it. You know, and then just all kinds of other shit that happened. But I'm just like, whatever, man. Can't stand that.
I hate to hear that, but I know exactly what you mean. Because you'll meet guys, GBs, and they'll talk to you, or you'll hear them talk, and you'll go, this guy's full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got the same background as you, same training and everything, but it's like, we're not the same person. You are not me. That's tough.
Yeah, I like that.
And there's guys like that in group. There's guys like that in every unit, and guys or gals, but it's unfortunate when it gets to that level and their, perception is, I don't know, what's the word, skewed by the commands or the relationships that they have and things like that. But everybody's career takes a different path.
Good, man.
But I know exactly what you're talking about. There's a couple of Green Berets that are in the spotlight, and you'll hear them talk, and you'll go, "No, that's not true."
That's what it is, man. I was very direct throughout my career. I didn't fucking care, but I always did the right thing.
Yeah, that's why I didn't make 8, because you did the right thing.
Exactly,
No,
and I
I'm just
wasn't,
kidding.
and seriously, and I wasn't political. But I knew what the fuck I was talking about. So I always tiptoed on the line of, like, it never hit my NCOER. I'll just put it that way. It never hit my NCOER. But I was able to push the boundaries all the time. But because of that, whatever, I don't fucking care. I don't care. Because you want to know why? At the end of the day, guess who's coming to me to get shit done? Everybody.
I assume them. Yeah.
That's it, man. Everybody's coming to me to get shit done because that's who I wanted to be. I don't care. I just don't care. I want to be that guy. Hey, you want to get something done? You want it done the right way? Fucking come to me. And guys did. So I did my job when I was there at SOC here, and I got to impact all of Eastern Europe. Like, I know my name is still out there. Like, I standardized fucking T-Tri-C throughout all Eastern Europe because I saw that was a problem. Obviously, every country speaks a different language. I said, guys, we got fucking problem. Mm-hmm. I said they all speak different languages, but we got to speak one medicine language, so I was able to standardize T-Tri-C throughout Eastern Europe, so those are just awesome. And again, like, I did what I was supposed to do without the politics.
Good. I mean, that's part of it, right? And really, at the end of the day, is to accomplish the mission of what we set out to do and do it correctly and make sure everybody comes home.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice that you received during your career?
Ooh, this is a good one because I talk about this all the time. It was SUT, field artillery background, didn't know shit about infantry, and SUT is all infantry. So I'm one of those weird people, like, I'm good at almost everything that I do. I'm good. I'm not saying I'm great. I'm not the best, right? But as if you want to be a good Green Beret, what are you supposed to be? Well, you're supposed to be generally good at everything on a team. That makes you a well-rounded good Green Beret. So because I kind of had that background just growing up as a child, like I was good at all sports. I wasn't the best, but I was good. I never got picked last. We'll just say that. So, just all the sports. So going through SUT, like for me, reading a map was fucking simple. But we know people that couldn't read a map. So Nick, if you couldn't read a map, but this isn't against you.
Don't
Right?
pick on me. Don't pick on me. I didn't miss a single fucking point in the whole Q
Here we
course.
go.
Eat a dick.
Dude, the guy we had an E7 Ranger tab guy. He was a guard guy, right? But doesn't matter, like, the first time I ever seen a Ranger tab, and I was like a Ranger on the team, right? This guy couldn't read a map. I'm like, but you got a
Inexcusable.
Ranger tab. So anyways, let's just say I ran my mouth a lot. But I was very good at SUT. It's pretty simple. Ambush, L shape, whatever, right? Reading a map, op order. So I kept peering last. I kept peering pretty bad because I just ran my mouth all the time. I was just young and dumb running my mouth. And finally, the cadre sat me. I think it was the second time I peered pretty bad. And he's just reading through our thing. A couple of them were bullshit ones. I was like first to the shower. He's always done with his ruck first, and he's first to the shower. It's just like, what a fucking stupid pink slip. Not to mention, when I was done, I would always ask everybody, all right, hey guys, I'm done. Anybody else need help? Nah, man, we're good. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go shower before everybody fucking takes a hot
I was
water.
same thing. I would ask, hey, anybody need help? And I would just go to bed. I got one for that once because I'd get all my shit done. I would see if, and everybody, would tell you to fuck off. Fuck, I'm going to bed.
How stupid is that?
Tired.
You got a pink
I'm
slip,
tired.
right? Yeah. So the cadre, I'm never going to forget this, man. He said, look, you know what you're doing out here. He's like, I've been watching you. He's like, you can land that. He's like, you know what you're doing. You're going to be fine. You're going to pass. He's like, my recommendation here. He's like, if you don't have any good input for the team, he's like, shut the fuck up, do the best that you can do, and move on to the next task. And Nick, from that day, that's what I did for the rest of my career. From that day.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Don't say it. Shut the fuck up. Do the best you can on that current task. And get ready for the next one. Because there's always going to be another task. And that's the problem today in society. You got a task, but people, they procrastinate. But there's more tasks. And then it starts piling up. And then they become overwhelmed. I need a mental day. It's like, no, you just need to knock out your fucking tasks.
Yeah. I need to win the lottery, so then I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's a task.
It's the fallback plan. I've been unsuccessful now every time. All right, what were you afraid of when you were in the service, and what are you afraid of now?
I mean, I guess the only thing I was afraid of was fucking dying down range, to be honest with you. That's about it.
Yeah. That's a real fear,
And
though.
that's a real fear.
I mean, yeah.
I'll never forget the first time we got shot at. I was like, what the fuck? You don't know what that feels like until you hear bullets whizzing by you, hitting the wall behind you. That's probably one of the, like, I'll never forget that. And then there was a draw in selection that scared the shit. I mean, I'll never forget that. Yeah, that may have been scarier than getting shot at.
I know exactly the draw you're talking about.
Well, It wasn't the draw itself, because a guy and I were going to bust through this draw. We just started. It was midnight, for the star course. And we come walking up, and it's like a fucking wall. You can't see it. And on the map, this thing is like, it's super long too. So somehow him and I go into this draw. We get like dead in the center, and some got turned around, and we just went long ways through this draw. Like, all fucking night, man. We didn't come out of that draw until the sun started coming up, basically. We wasted so much time. But I had my rubber ducky, and I'm fucking poking around because we hit some water. And I go to poke, and then fell out of my hands. It wasn't on swing or nothing, right? And I was like, I am fucked. I'm getting dropped. And dude, this dude next to me, I can't remember his name, but I should commend this guy, right? That guy took his ruck off and he fucking jumps in and gets it for me. Gets it for me, bro. Yeah, insane. But that scared the shit out of me. That was more
Don't even,
scarier than getting shot at.
student stress is something else.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
when you're there, uh, and that's what I said. The only time during the course where I wasn't sure about my future was that 7 minutes the time fuse was burning. All the thoughts going through my head of how, and then it hit right on, and then right back to, oh, I'm the greatest thing in the fucking world. I am Superman, Clark Kent, everything, just everything here again. Right back to it. But yeah, that student stress will eat you alive.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
what are you afraid of now?
I mean, I guess my biggest fear is like something happening inside of me before this business is built for my kids. That's probably the biggest fear I have right now.
Health wise or mentally?
Yeah, health wise. I mean, because
Yeah,
you got guys like us, man, totally healthy and fine, and then fucking heart attack.
yeah, cancer, heart attack,
Don't know why.
um, or that one guy who lives by you that's just now disappeared.
Yeah. Fucking Clint gone. Where the fuck is Clint?
That
That
is
ain't
a
like
good
Clint.
question. That's
That
what
is
I'm
not
reading.
like Clint.
Everything was very suspicious.
Super smart dude. Super strong dude too. Um, last time I talked to him too, man, I was like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" I didn't email him. I don't know why I did that. Called him up, and I'm just like, "Hey, what's up, man? How's everything going?" I said, "Are you staying at the schoolhouse, or are you going? What are you doing, man?" And he's like, "Nah, man." He's like, "Fuck this place. I'm getting out." I was like, "Okay, right on, dude." And yeah, so last time I talked to Clint, which was literally I think last summer or maybe end of the summer, just to check in on him, see how things were going. Um, yeah, man. All of a sudden, that I'm like, that ain't Clint.
Yeah, it's too bad. Also, it hasn't risen to the level of being interesting at a national news level. He didn't.
Yeah,
There's no exploding Cybertruck at the Trump Tower level of things, so people don't really pay attention to it. I hope it works out, but you know, it's very suspicious. So it sucks
crazy.
for the
I'm
guys.
like, I have no idea what could it even be. Like, no idea, because I guess he didn't drive anywhere either.
Yeah, left the house or came into the house and never left, and now he's gone for 3 weeks or some shit like that now, right? So I
No
hope you guys
idea.
down there, hope you guys down there find him. Patrick, unconventional warriors, special operations, financial training for the financially oppressed. Where can people find you on social media if they so choose?
Yeah, I mean, just search up. You can search me, Patrick Buckles, whatever, on Facebook, and I'll pop up. It's got you can't miss it. It's right there. And even in my abouts, my email's there, which is unconventionalwarriors2022 at gmail.com. Apparently somebody got to me before I could have the original number. So
Oh,
um
cool.
I know, right? So did that. I have that. My phone number's on there too, man. So hey, if you guys got questions or whatever, you just want to bullshit, my
All
number's
right,
on there too.
I'll have links to your socials in the show description. Patrick, I appreciate you coming on. I enjoyed the conversation. You got anything for me?
No, brother, I appreciate your time, man. It was great.
Fuck, I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for the support. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.